The Gold Coast Suns arrive on the MCG, a venue that I haven't played a lot of footy at, but they will be pretty confident today because they have Melbourne in their sights, and their month of footy hasn't been bad of late, except for a fade-out against the Sydney Swans last week. And they do have possibly their best team on paper, so it's an opportunity for the Gold Coast Suns to get their second win of the year, and they take on a team, Melbourne, that only has 2 wins. And I guess that's the story of the day, is that one of these teams is going to be pretty happy come 3 hours' time.
And one's going to be shattered. Absolutely. The Gold Coast Suns, as you touched on, has been pretty good over the last month. The win against Richmond was very good. They should have won against the Brisbane Lions at home at Metricon Stadium.
Yeah, they should have.
Obviously, yeah, a bit of a fade-out against the Swans last week. And
I think the team looks okay on paper.
It does. And Charlie Dixon's into the side. Again, he's been down back over the last few weeks. There's a late change. Danny Stanley's out of the side. Mav Weller comes in to replace him. It really comes down. I think the midfield battle is going to be critical, as it is always. But Tom Lynch and Day, they need a couple of the big forwards to take some marks.
Yeah, they need we need to stop talking about potential with those two, don't we?
Yep.
One player that gets better each week I see him is Josh Caddy. He's smart, he's tough, he makes good decisions, and he's a natural born leader.
Oh, absolutely, and absolutely potential. I mean, he's a very good player. He's one of the real leading lights for the Suns this season, and we've seen him playing his 20th game today. There's a lot of speculation that he wants to come back to Melbourne. Now, whether that's gone or not, we're not sure, but he's an impressive player that really needs to add to the depth of the midfield, along with Swallow, who's been sore, but Gary Ablett. He's going to be really important today. And ironically, if he wants to come back to Melbourne Footy Club, they'll be putting their hand up for this guy who's really strong, got a real strong body, and his second year in the system looks like he's a class act.
Yeah, he's a class act, and he'll be looked at very closely for his future. Here comes Melbourne. They have the 2 wins, as I mentioned, both of them here on the MCG. That's a real bonus for them. But some pressure on them. They're expected to win, which is a rare for them.
Well, it is. I mean, their best is not bad, and their worst is terrible. That's the problem with them. When they played against Essendon, they had the win here a couple of months ago. It was fantastic. Their play was at a high level. Just haven't been able to replicate that, and they will need a win today. If they lose today against the Suns, they are a chance to go to the bottom of the ladder with GWS and the Suns playing each other next week.
GWS winning yesterday added another dimension to this game. As we take a look at the Melbourne lineup, the key loss here is Mackenzie's out.
Yeah, Mackenzie goes out of the side. Magna comes in, and he'll start as the sub as well. So that is a critical matchup problem now. What will they do with the Gary Ablett matchup? Mackenzie was the obvious choice. They may go with Trengove into the middle, or Jones may be another one to go head-to-head with Gary Ablett. But Brent Maloney, he's certainly a player they need to stand up. Has had probably a disappointing year, had probably his best game last week against the Kangaroos, but needs to back that up. And as one of the experienced players in a team that's struggling, and certainly a young team, he has to stand up here today against the young Suns.
Well, a lot's been said about his future. We talked about Caddy's future. We're talking about where Maloney may end up, but because he doesn't seem to be as happy. But maybe this 29 disposals last week against North, maybe that's just a springboard for the final month of the year.
Well, that's right, and that's what Melbourne need. They need to finish the season on a high, just to give their supporters and themselves something to go into pre-season. It's a critical month. Obviously, finals have been well and truly off the page for a long period of time, but he has to stand up and lead the way for a few of his younger players.
Well, they're 2 sides that are down the bottom of the ladder, but in every game of AFL footy, there's some stories. And to tell us about the stories of the day, Danny Frawley and Liam Pickering.
Yeah, well, Spud, when you look at the Melbourne Footy Club, as the boys have just said, they're desperate for a win. Yep. What do you see as the keys this afternoon?
Well, obviously, home ground pickers, they need to come out of the blocks. They need to get scoreboard pressure. The last thing they need is for the Gold Coast Suns to get 2 or 3 goals on the board early. These young players in the Gold Coast Suns will get a lot of belief. Assuming they get in front, they can really take the game on. So Melbourne need to really hit the scoreboard and hit it hard. The second key I've got there is stop the second-tier players. We know Gary Ablett probably going to average about 30 disposals. Just make sure that Swallow, Prestia, guys like Burnell don't have PBs. When I talk about that, 30 possessions, because those 3 or 4 players can get on top. That'll be hard for Melbourne. But Melbourne just need to tick off every quarter, 4 consistent quarters. Win the hard ball, get the hard ball and use the ball. That's the thing. Every quarter, Mark Neal just needs to tick that off. They play 4 consistent quarters, led by their skippers, Trengove and Grimes. Super important that they play well. They win this game of football.
Yeah, look, I'm having a look at the Gold Coast Suns, and you look at their numbers, and look, I think they need to set a really high standard early, and that's crucial when you're on the road. And the Suns haven't traditionally been great starters. They've been a bit better in the second half of the year, but they need to start this game really well. A bit like you've said about Melbourne. So So that's my first one. The midfield spread. Midfield's crucial. I think they've got a better midfield than the Demons. And you look at the players you mentioned, like Ablett, Bennell, having a terrific year. Swallow, Shaw, they bat very deep in the midfield. Caddy's another one. And they need to finish off their work. They've been actually quite good at this in recent weeks, where they've got the ball inside forward 50. They've been able to actually get some score on the board. Problem has been, I guess, that they've been going back the other way. When the opposition have got it in, they've actually been scored against as well. But finish their work off really important this afternoon. Should be a big afternoon, Spud. A quick tip from you?
I'm going for Melbourne Joss Pickers.
Yeah, I'm sort of leaning for the Demons as well, but should be a really good game this afternoon. We'll get to a break. On the other side of the break, it'll be Matty Campbell to call all the action.
Welcome back to the MCG on a Sunday afternoon. Both coaches having a good long chat before the game, and they'll both be very interested to see how their instructions are adhered to, especially early on in this game. It is so important for both teams to have a good start, but let's find out. Well, we're very keen to know who plays on that man, Gary Ablett. We can talk about him for hours on end about his achievements, but I get the feeling that he's in for a big afternoon.
Yeah, I think he set himself for a big one. The MCG, the biggest stage in AFL football, and a real opportunity for Melbourne to get their first win at the MCG and indeed in Victoria.
Let's get down to ground level for all the information to Liam Pickering.
Yeah, well, it's your typical Melbourne MCG blustery day here, and probably, if anything, it's going to favour the right of screen, but it's a real tricky old wind out here. You mentioned Gary Ablett. Well, he's going to lead a midfield. I think he's got a little bit more depth than Melbourne, so they'll need to make sure they're on top of Gary. But not only Gary, there's also other players that are in really good form, the likes of Bennell, and also the other player I actually think has given them a lot of drive in recent weeks, the Suns, has been Jared Harbrow. So he's another player they'll need to shut down off half-back.
So, the Gold Coast Suns will be kicking to the left of screen.
And Matty, there's Jared Harbrow has been really good since coming back from injury, and has been one of the real barometers for the Suns. The way he runs out of half-back, his rebounds from the defensive 50, and the way he uses the ball is critical. But I think for both teams here, this first 10 minutes, first quarter is critical, because if someone gets out to a 2 or 3 goal lead early, there's going to be that mentality of here we go again, we're in trouble. And especially I think if Melbourne are down early, there's going to be a lot of panic, a lot of anxiety in the stand and certainly on the field. The
good news for Melbourne is they're in this situation. We talked about the possibility of an upset against the Giants, but they destroyed them and they got on top of them early and they won by 78 points.
Looks like maybe Morton is in the middle and he'll run with Gary Ablett, so that's an interesting matchup.
So we're away for this round 19 clash. Spence missing it. It falls for Morton. The kick not going far. Little give by Prestia. Missed Ablett on the way through. He went back in hard to do a second effort. Pick up by Hunt. No one can get a clear kick as yet. Jones got it out to Grimes. Howe, Frawley. Now Melbourne with the first effective foray forward. Strong hands, Brad Green.
And it's good to see Brad Green get into the game as well. He's one of the critical players. Certainly works well inside 50.
And he's headed in the direction of Big Seller.
Good second effort there from Charlie Dixon. Started his career as a forward, now as a defender for Gold Coast.
Weller, handball's a little bit dangerous, but now Harbrow to Hunt. They've only won one game this year, the Suns, and he was the hero. Kicks into an open forward line. McDonald first back. That's Tom McDonald. Oh, Brennan got him. Got free. Chance the Suns. Hunt. Bullocks through. Almost for Brennan. Loose ball. Strauss. And they work it out. Joel McDonald.
Well, it's certainly the intensity's right up there for both teams defensively. A lot of panic when they actually take possession and just struggling to hit targets, both teams.
You got Jared Rivers on his ex-teammate there, Matthew Warnock, on the forward line there for Melbourne too, so that'll be an interesting matchup.
Well worked by Grimes. He just waited to release Trengove. Kick might have a bit too much on it. Big leap, and there he is, Charlie Dixon.
Big Charlie Dixon, big knee in the back.
That's what I like him about Lester. He's not afraid to take a mark in defence, because if you mark the ball, if you spoil it, it's a free play. But when you take marks such as that, all of a sudden Gold Coast are in control deep in their defence.
And Spud, you know, as a defender, take a big hang like that, the confidence is up to start with.
It's a different mindset, isn't it, when you go to mark?
Yep.
Melbourne go forward again. But McKenzie first to it for the Suns.
They've got the space out here. They just need some good spread through the middle of the ground to support this run.
Bennell Kicks it out wide, looking for Swallow, but it was a percentage kick. He kicked it to the boundary just in case.
It was a really good mark from Dixon, but let's face it, the kick wasn't great.
No.
Sulla led out, and he had some space on Charlie Dixon, had to kick the ball to grass, so both sides wasting opportunities early when they're going inside forward 50.
Yeah, that's against, is it Jones down there? And basically he was the ruckman. He's taken possession out of the ruck contest, and as soon as Carmichael Hunt tackled him, you've given up all rights and holding the ball.
He's a bit sore, Hunt. Wants to get off.
He's
Got a problem with that right arm.
Straight off the ground here. I think it's his wrist, Matty.
Yep. He's as tough as they come, but he needs some attention as Melbourne go forward again. Kick out in front. Howe. Couldn't mark. Or couldn't keep it in.
Obviously, Geordie McKenzie out of the team, late withdrawal of the knee, and it's interesting that Gary Abbott's direct opponent is Carl Morton. So that's,
it is a surprise,
well,
isn't it?
it is, but he won his own ball there before on Garrow, so that'll give him a little bit of confidence early.
A big task for him that obviously Mark Neal is set and just said, here's an opportunity. This man is the best in the game.
But is it an opportunity to rotate? So, all right, you get the first job for 10, 15 minutes, then we'll give you a spell. We'll get someone in through.
Absolutely, and that's most probably the plan, and certainly need rotation to actually stay with the run of Ablett.
Well, I don't mind Carl Morton on that because he can fade in and out of games. If he does that on Ablett, he's in a lot of trouble, so it'll make sure his concentration levels at a premium.
Maloney, stop-start, went back to Jones, but they worked it out nicely, the D's. Joel McDonald, short ball, found his target in Rivers.
Well, that was the better kick rather than the one to Seller on top of his head.
Just on his range, so he decides to pass out. Beautiful pass out to Seller. That's good movement inside the forward 50. This will be the first score of the game.
Great forward movement, great mark from Jared Rivers, and he would know, playing most of his career in defence, there's nothing he can do with this kick. It was a beautiful way to kick out in the front of Seller. You can see Charlie Dixon, who took a mark 2 minutes ago. Impossible to defend that kick.
Well, there was two passes, and certainly the one to from McDonald to Rivers was out in front again to Seller. So that's the way you need to use the ball when going inside 50.
He's only kicked 4 goals in his career in his 33rd game today. Just the one for Melbourne. It'll be a nice way for him to start and a beautiful way for the Demons to start. He likes it. He's not sure. He's waiting on the umpire.
There may be a review here.
Chelsea, happy. Goal Seller, goal Melbourne.
Well, I'm not sure Seller was that convinced and went through. His celebrations were certainly stymied, and he was looked like he might have even been trying to bluff the umpire. But see here, the kick aims at the left post, and that is over the top of the post.
That's a goal.
That looks like a goal from here, and obviously the goal umpire, Chelsea Roffey, was in the right position and just checked with her boundary umpire and then called all clear.
So that battle's been good already. Seller v Dixon. Liam, what's the news on Carmichael Hunt and the boundary?
Carmichael's still in the dugout getting a little bit of treatment on that wrist. It looks like his right wrist, but he's certainly a player that started off pretty brightly too.
Matera crumbing, that's what he does best, just wide to the left-hand side. Opening score for the Suns.
Yeah, good crumbing position for Matera, but again, as we saw at the other end, that was a bomb ball in, and it was always going to be tough for the forwards, for the Suns to mark the ball, but just get the ball to the front and give your crumbing forwards a chance.
Long kick out. Rivers came to meet it. Maloney off a step, a high ball. Spence has to wait. Had some time. Here's Joel McDonald. Spence gets rid of Matt Shaw on the way out. Seller, the target. Spencer. Kick to Riscatelli. Ablett.
No options.
No, and he's squeezed up, but gets the kick.
That's a really good mark. Better push up the field, and that's what the big forwards for the Suns need to do.
That was Lynch who gave it to Shaw. Bounce, evades Day. Melbourne will be happy to see it over the line. As Spencer goes in again. He's working both sides of the ground, the big man.
Pickers, is the wind favouring?
Here's Hunt going down.
Oh, let's see the injury there in the tackle. Pickers, is the wind favouring either end?
Well, look, if anything, I reckon Sputter's probably going to the end that the Demons are kicking, but it's a real fluky breeze, as we know here at the MCG.
Just a bit of a concussion test too there for Carmichael Hunt, but he's just come back on the ground, so he's got the all okay as the Suns are pressing forward, but Howe working hard, getting back to help out. Nice Shepherd. Good to see that from Melbourne. It came from Garland. And he gets it back. Into the middle he goes. Just a little bit short on the kick. Gisbert's pinched. Hunt. Well, that handball not a good one. Goes in over the top, and it'll be a free kick to Jeremy Howe.
Good play, Jeremy Howe. First to the ball.
Good news for the Melbourne club. Howe and Jones both signing.
Yeah, great news to hear.
3-year deals.
Yeah, two very impressive young players that just need those players to sign. And certainly will encourage other younger players to do so.
Been playing 6.5 minutes and he hasn't taken a hanger. What's going on?
He wouldn't be far away. He's just waiting for the launch pad to be set.
McDonald, long kick in. Chance here, Tapscott. Got a man going past in Bale. Bale to 40 metres on the left boot. It's close, but it's off to the left-hand side, just to behind.
I'll tell you what, that was a let-off for Jared Harbour out half-back. He needed to be a little bit better than that. Just allowed the Melbourne player to just play on.
Bennell to Shaw. High ball up, but Dunn reads it best. No real target there. Matera's not the man you want to kick to in a marking contest.
No, he's been on the end of a couple of long balls so far.
Dangerous kick here. Now there's a whistle over the shoulder. Melbourne free kick. Green, who is a very good kick.
Well, it's experience. He drew the free kick there. He used his body extremely well.
Just see the marking contest here.
Taylor Hine there. You can just see the arm around the shoulder. That's experience.
Well, he dropped the knees as well just to make sure that
the free kick
arm
was
went
there,
across
though.
the shoulder.
You learn from that, Taylor Hine. Just keep your hands out of that marking situation on a player such as Brad Green. Very experienced player.
That's right. You talk about 251 games to 5. Green, right behind him. It's just hooking. It's another difficult one for the goal umpire, but it's behind.
You'd be disappointed with that.
It would be. Melbourne are dominating possessions and certainly inside 50s. They're 7-3 up at this stage, so haven't been able to reflect that on the scoreboard with 1 goal 2, but certainly the game has been played so far in the forward half for Melbourne.
And Rivers has got Shaw. And he just puts on a little. Shepherd for Gisberts, but Rivers didn't know it was coming back. Harley Bennell. Suns are going to run out of room here. Riscatelli. And that's still in.
Well, it would have been a better option if they did run it over the line.
Kick forward by Trengove. Warnock reads it best, but beats everyone.
Well, positive for the Melbourne Football Club, as you said, Alistair, they're peppering the inside 50s. It's just the ball used by foot at the moment. It's the difference. Melbourne using the ball a little bit better than Gold Coast.
Early on, the D's look the most dangerous.
Well, they do. The clearance, certainly, clearances are going in favour of the Suns, but they're just not capitalising on good quality clearances.
They need this man to get hold of it, and he does in Ablett.
Clearance.
Gets it back, the 1-2 from McKenzie, and he goes up the middle, and then pulled the kick at the last moment. Got it to work back with the breeze. Good kick.
Gee, he did that really well. Just thought his way through that beautifully. Nice finish by Campbell Brown to take a contested mark, but that was class by Ablett.
He's no one to kick to.
He's got the thigh pads on. Campbell Brown, he got a heavy cork at the end of last week's game.
Yeah, Adam Goods just cleaned him up, just the knee into the thigh when Campbell Brown come in for the Shepherd.
They're forced to chip it down the line. Bennell got rid of Grimes and got rid of him easily. Now he heads in the day direction. It's to his advantage. Couldn't take the mark. Crummer needed. Prestia looking for Lynch. Bale. Dunn went down, milked the free kick and got it.
They got the free kick, but again, we repeat ourselves week in, week out. The real issue for the Gold Coast Suns, when they go in, they tend to go in long and bomb the ball in, and that was on top of Lynch's head. Just makes it really hard for the young forwards to take a mark.
Which is interesting, Lynchy, because bringing out of defence, you saw the short kicks they were prepared to use. Then they get it to a position where you need to actually use the ball and just really assess your options, and they just bang it long.
Tapscott's long kick in. Howe. Now everybody down except Green. Last man standing, Brad Green. This time he won't miss. Drills the goal. Second goal for Melbourne. First goal for Green.
All the dangerous space was out the back. And again, experience. You can see the two Gold Coast players competing for the ball. We just see the ball here coming in.
Oh, look at
see
this.
Green out the back.
Stephen Bradbury.
Now, young Taylor Hine, if you're going to go up and lose your direct opponent, you either mark the ball or put the ball 12 rows over the boundary line. There was no impact on that ball whatsoever. The ball spilled. Brad Green stayed on his feet, and that's just experience. He played the odds and won.
Like in an ice skating gold medal. 3 went down, 1 stayed up.
And there was the reward. The goal was at the end of it, inside 50s. It's just starting to blow out a bit further now, 9-4, and time in forward half is 64% to the D's.
Seller winning the clearance after losing the tap.
Good
And there's Rivers getting rid of McKenzie, and they're really hitting their straps here, Melbourne.
Well, that's a mismatch. Trent McKenzie on Rivers. I know the height factor looks that way, but Trent McKenzie's more your back flanker, your winger,
type, yeah.
and Jared Rivers would relish this opportunity. Just see there, just eased him out with the elbow. Not a lot of body strength to keep him off the ball drop.
Really uncomfortable under the long ball.
And that's what happens when you play 0 to 30. If you haven't played there a lot, you become reactive.
Rivers to continue this good start for Melbourne. And he lets himself down there. Poor kick.
And certainly Melbourne just got a little be careful here. I mean, they've had plenty of forward 50 entries. They haven't got on the scoreboard just yet, just 2 goals 3. They don't want the Suns to go to the other end and kick a goal, although it doesn't look like happening with these sort of kicks.
Kick over the top. Green. Strauss sets himself for goal, wants it to move back, and they're peppering that post.
Well, it's target practice at the moment, but they're not hitting the bullseye.
Blazing away. Disposal count 57-42, and now inside 50s 11-4.
That's a tumble kick from McKenzie. It's
Well,
a poor one. It
2
beats
in a row.
everyone. Yeah, not getting it to spin properly. Riscatelli gets the call from Caddy. It's a Shepherd and kicks it up high, but Dunn's in good position. Gets some help from Grimes. Spencer in the middle, and he's got Sylvia going past. Just a little fumble from Sylvia, but has time to dump it in long again. And there's a push.
Well, it was a free kick anyway, or a mark, and that's what happens. With Trent McKenzie just playing reactive football there.
Well, Melbourne have identified that the Suns...
Matty Shaw, sorry. You see Matty Shaw too, just really uncomfortable. You've got Taylor Hine, a lot of experience, inexperience deep in the
They've identified that, Melbourne, haven't they? Just get it in long and high.
Yeah, they're certainly giving away plenty of height and weight.
Yep.
And just as you spoke about, Spud, you're playing that 0 to 30 spot, you get really nervous. If you're not a last line defence player and you've gone back there for the first or second time, you're really nervous.
He's had a good start, Seller. This for his second goal, 35 metres out. Gee. Rivers, then Seller, and they were goals that were very easy.
And Brad Green early on as well. That's inexcusable because... And they'll learn from those young defenders there, because don't worry about the body in that situation. Kill the ball. They were trying to do both. They're trying to get a piece of the ball and get a piece of the body. Make your mind up early to go hard and spike the football.
Bale. Gisberts into the pocket. Melbourne go again. Seller the target.
Well, that's right. You've got to assess the situation really quickly and identify what asset you may have over your opponent. And certainly with the weight disadvantage from the Suns' point of view, you've got to get off your man and jump into him.
Guy McKenna will be disappointed at the start, but even Mark Neal to be really frustrated. But the amount of ball that Melbourne have had, as you talked about, it's now 13 inside 50s to 4, 2 goals 5. The scoreboard is not indicative of where the game's played at the moment. It should be at least a 5-goal lead.
Knocked by Smith. Pinched by Ablett over Morton. Lynch can't beat 2.
Well, again, it's long to a...
Oh, that's 50 metres.
50 metres, Spencer to kick a goal.
And he's been active early,
Hasn't he?
Big Jake. He's had a few disposals. He's going up for disposal number 3.
I can
And that's
tell
what
you
you want
too,
from a
Danny,
big man.
he's never kicked a goal.
Well, he's got a great opportunity now. Can
Just
he
held
kick?
the jumper there, Lynch.
Well, his more experienced teammates have let their team down. Let's hopefully he can...
Very short
hit the
50 for
target.
Jake Spencer for his first goal in the AFL. And for the 3rd goal for the D's, he's pretty happy, and the fans are happy as well.
Yeah, a little nervous shot at goal. We're good to see him. He's been in the side over the last month after a knee reconstruction last season, and he's pretty happy, the big man. And up against a few of his Queensland counterparts. The young fella's spent a bit of time at Redlands Football Club, coming through the Queensland under-18 system, and with that 50-metre penalty, he made the most of it. So nice start for Jake Spencer. Interesting ball drop, but he got it there.
All Melbourne at the moment. Spud, you talked about the stories of the game. Melbourne had to get out of the blocks.
Well, they've done that, Matthew. They were love to have 5 goals 3 instead of 3 goals 5, but their style of play, they're winning the hard ball, and they just need to finish it off in front of goal because their entries inside forward 50 have been okay.
Spencer's killing him at the moment. Big Jake. Unfortunately, Nathan Jones is pinned for holding the ball.
Well, Gold Coast just look tired to me. They look a little bit lethargic.
Inside 50 they go. And make a bit of a meal of it. Lynch. Handball out wide, was looking for Brennan. Everybody else got in the way. Jones to clean up for
big
Melbourne.
Numbers back here. They should be able to run this one out.
How? Kick had too much on it. Was hoping for Sylvia. Riscatelli happy to see it over the line.
Just watching Jake Spencer there again in the back half. He gets back and supports his teammates well, and then he's prepared to shepherd. That's what you want from a big man. You don't have to always get, look at that, the good strong body work. He's on fire at the moment.
Caddy got it from Hunt. Was just forced to handball forward. Pressed here, shovels it towards Bennell, who gave it straight up. And again, a percentage kick.
I'll tell you what Spencer has done over the pre-season. He's got a body all of a sudden. He's a big man. He had arms, as you would say, Spud, like a couple of pieces of linguine.
That's right. But I suppose that's one of the few benefits you get from a knee reconstruction. You can't run, but you spend plenty of time in the gym.
Just crossed that one off the list, Pickers. Linguini, we got it out there. Ablett tumbling him forward. Play on the call. McDonald against Lynch. Brennan caught by Dunn, dragged into the ground.
Dumped into the ground.
Yeah.
Good pressure. Good solid tackling there from Lyndon Dunn.
Just working a little bit harder at the moment, the D's. They're pushing numbers back, but then running with the extra man out of defence.
Falls for Swallow. Tried to find Lynch. Can't get into the game, Swallow. And they worked it out again, as Alistair said. Numbers back and then working it out. Kick across ground is a beauty from Trengove. Finds Tapscott. He goes short. Joel McDonald.
That's a great run from Maloney.
Yep.
He pushed from the back pocket on the other side of the ground to get into that space in the centre wing.
And he's found his target as well. This is just precision kicking from the D's.
And it's the polar opposite to what we're seeing at the other end, who are bombing away.
Seller looking for Rivers. Warnock right with him. Can't find the boundary line. Rolls over it now.
Matty Warnock up against his old team. He had a good couple of seasons here with Melbourne. He was top 5 in the best and fairest, probably back in 2009 from memory.
Melbourne done extremely well negating all the other players other than Ablett. We talked about Ablett's probably going to get his 40. He's already on target for that. He's had 10 disposals already, Gary Ablett.
Beautiful spoil from Riscatelli, but front and square in the perfect spot was Blease. That's how you do it.
Sam Blease, he's another Melbourne player that's had a few problems with injuries in his short career, and just been able to get to the right position there, as you called it. Very good spoil from the defence, Riscatelli, to spoil it to the front, just because Green is really drawing the ball to the top of the goal square, but Blease just hit the pack, clean possession, and dragged it around the body. Good to see the young fella in the game early.
That's his speed factor.
Yeah.
Clean set of wheels there, very quick there, Sam Blease. Great goal, great front and square goal from Melbourne.
Copybook roving goal from Sam Blease. Melbourne out to a 28-point lead. And I know it's only the first quarter, Alistair, but the Suns have got to start doing something.
I said for both teams, it's really critical to get off to a good start. Certainly the Demons have done that, just not in the game at the moment, the Gold Coast. Just second to the ball, reactive, and getting chopped up here.
Jones to Sylvia. Squeezes it out wide. Howe got an unkind bounce. Great tackle on Russell, though. Ball jars free. Got up quickly, got it from Strauss, and then manages to get inside 50. Tough one to mark, but Riscatelli just inside.
And when I say they're getting chopped up through the middle of the ground, it's the run of the more experienced midfield of the Demons that haven't been great this season, it's fair to say, but they're working harder. At the moment, the Suns are dominating clearances. They're leading that facet of the game 9-6, but they just can't do anything with it. There's no handball receive options on the way past.
We talked about Melbourne getting out of the blocks, and what it's actually done is given them a lot of confidence. They're working for each other, Melbourne. They're shepherding, they're tackling, their support for each other. See the organised defence here? You've got Carl Morton, and then you've got Howe tackling. They're working for each other.
Good spoil from Frawley. Jones getting plenty of it. Frawley gets it back. Clever handball from Trengove. Jones again.
Good shepherd.
And they're not panicking either. Dunn.
Well, they're in the game, Melbourne.
But
They're
again,
handballing and they're still in the game. That's fantastic working through there.
And good vision to find Tapscott, then turn to Morton, high ball in. Third man across the front was Weller. Comes to
Over the back.
Bale, handball to Blees
Speed.
for his second, straightens up and drills it. 2 to Blees.
Magnificent bit of play there on the wing. You could just see the work for each other. And the scoreboard's ticking over, and all of a sudden their confidence really building now, Melbourne. Not a lot Gold Coast could do. That was just far too good. Their ball use was terrific. They just had a lot of composure. This passage of play here, I think this Mark Neal will be wrapped with this. There's handballs, then there's protection, and you're still in the game. They're trying to find some space for each other.
They're mobile. That's
Yeah.
the thing. That's the real difference. They're actually running to receive and support, which is fantastic.
Well, Mav Weller can push and shove, but he's kicked 2 goals in 2 minutes.
And
Well,
Sam
that's-
Blees, as we know, highly rated as a junior, had the bad break of the leg just in the year after he was drafted at school, broke the leg, and it's taken a bit of time to find his way back into the side.
Well, he just needs to play goal side now, Sam Blees. That's running into open goal. That's spectating the ball.
Ablett pulls the kick.
Well, there's not much else that Gary Ablett can do. He's had disposal number 12 already. He needs a big lift for his teammates.
Day wants to find his partner in Lynch. No Crummer there for the Suns. Allows Garland to come into the play.
But again, Ablett's kick was good. It was a pass. The next kick long was bombed up. It wasn't to advantage. Well, I mean, it wasn't totally bombed up. It wasn't to the right side to favour the forward.
Switch here from Melbourne.
And again,
Frawley
look
to
at the
Dunn.
numbers.
Yeah.
Here they just run out.
Just the ball
They're
use.
creating space for each other too, Pickers.
Yeah, ball use so much better.
that hurts.
than the
Oh, he's in
Suns.
trouble in front of you, Pickers.
That's a knee to the head to Grimes.
And free kick here to the Swallow.
He's got some history of concussion too, Jack Grimes. You have a look at this. Good courage.
Oh, the knee
Oh, right
just
to the
missed.
head.
He's all right.
Probably just missed him and got the shin into the head. So
And he
not
wakes up,
great.
and, he wakes up and sees he's given a free kick away.
Legal
Now
use
some
of the
movement,
head.
some space here for the Suns. Caddy, well,
bomb
he
it
just
away.
bombed it.
That's inexperienced and just nervous,
Tom
anxious.
McDonald dropped that.
He did drop it, but Melbourne should still get out of trouble, and they do. Suns can't lay a tackle in their forward 50.
Well, they should be shooting for goal now. Now they've got to defend with all they've got to prevent Melbourne from scoring. That was just
Played a lot
a
of time
bad
and
decision
space.
to go to that area of the ground.
How? Well, he's going to ask a bit of Sylvia. It's a perfect kick, though, and Colin Sylvia can get home. Thought about going wide to Grimes. Says, no, I'm going back.
He'll get the journey,
Yep.
but they've just been opened up. But that was indicative of the game so far. Just again, the Suns bombing long into the forward 50, turning the ball over deep defence, and the run off the back line for Melbourne just resulting in an inside 50 and a scoring shot.
Sylvia to get the margin to 40 points. He's got the distance, he's got the accuracy, and he's got Melbourne in total control.
Yeah, it's massive concerns now, and as we said before, the inside 50s are heavily in favour of the Demons, 19-8, but this is where they're working well. There's a lot of run into space to create more space, and the handball receives is an indication of run as well, 42-28. And that's why they've got options, and that's why they're getting protected when they're actually carrying the ball as well. So 11 scoring shots to 1, but most of it is about the way they're actually going into the forward 50 when they get it.
Sylvia joins the party with his first 5 goal kickers.
What they are going forward is unpredictable, Melbourne.
Yep.
They're very unpredictable. Obviously, no Mitch Clark. So the Gold Coast Suns have got no sort of power forward like a Travis Cloak or a Mitch Clark to zone off.
Spencer comes through, hands off to Bale. Ablett trying to steal it again. He can't get free. Minute and a half to go in the first quarter. Suns staring at their worst start for the season, just to behind.
Well, it is a real concern, but they just got to lower their eyes and just have a go at those 45-metre low passes to give the forwards a chance, because the bombs aren't working, they've never worked.
Here's another bomb, this one from Maloney. Right to the line, and Bennell gets a hand on it.
Well, he's the free man at the moment. Lou McKenna says enough's enough. Manel's gone behind the ball, and it's had impact already touching that shot at goal on the line.
A bit of space up the middle here for Shaw, and he takes off, but
It's not the same run and space creating for each other as Melbourne, though.
And that's a
Very
good
static
kick
Gold
and
Coast.
good lead. Just need Lynch to get on the lead here.
Russell wants to go to Smith instead.
Well, that's good.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a couple of concerns injury-wise too for the Gold Coast. Riscatelli's off the ground getting his knee strapped, so he's hobbling around. And Dion Presti's just limped off, so 2 midfielders down potentially.
And it might come back pretty quickly here for them. Although Smith cuts it off to Dixon and turn Russell, who is a runner.
There's a push in the back there. Hands in the back against Frawley. And big day.
It's into the pocket to Caddy, but it's a tough kick from there.
Well, that's their first mark inside their forward 50. Unfortunately, it's 48 metres out on the boundary line.
Well, if he pulled the trigger a lot quicker, he could have had Ablett at the top of the goal square, but too late now as Rivers is just floating off as the spare man to jump over the top.
We looked at Josh Caddy at the start of the broadcast, said he makes good decisions. This one to the top of the square. It's a mark to Brennan, but I'd say it's over the line.
And it has to be over the line.
That's been
They're going to pay this.
Hang on, Tom. Clear mark. There's a mark. That's a mark.
Well, it is a mark, but this is Jared Brennan on the side. I was going to say, it could go anywhere now. He's forced to have a kick.
He can't play on either. If he goes to play on,
Well, he's going to step off his line.
Well, got to be playing on. And I
Gary-
think that, Gary Ablett went
just
over to
told
him
him
then.
Right behind Jared Brennan. Hits the post. Anti-climax for the Suns, their best opportunity. Bit of push and shove afterwards. Lyndon Dunn's got plenty to say. This might develop into a melee here.
Get to the huddle, boys. Have a drink.
Nothing to prove the Suns. They've only kicked 2 behind. I don't know what they're up
It's
at
a
about
fine here.
He's starting to spill over a bit.
Oh, it's got the Melbourne showing a bit of spirit. We just get back to the quarter time. The scoreboard's the true indicator of this one.
Surprising there's a Frawley involved, Spud.
Well, I'm expecting to do something.
Well, it's quarter time here at the MCG, and Melbourne fans couldn't be happier. They've just shut out the Gold Coast completely and in turn kicked 6 of their own goals. We'll take a break from the MCG. Melbourne by 40 points. And a quarter time. It's something we haven't seen a lot of in 2012. Melbourne up by 40 points, and there's still 3 quarters to go. It's the Gold Coast worst first quarter for the season, even though Ablett and Bennell have had plenty of the ball. Let's get to Liam Pickering at ground level.
Yeah, very impressive start by the Demons. They really owned that first quarter, and I really thought it was their ball use and their decision-making in particular. It was the real difference between the two sides. There was a passage of play that was late in that first quarter that really summed up Melbourne. You see Nathan Jones there, good decision. Good Shepherd put on as well. Dunn back involved to Jones. That was a great kick. He kicked it to Tapscott. Could have banged it long, which the Suns have been doing all quarter. Gets it across to Morton. Then he goes long, and you see the numbers here. And Sam Blease has got some real wheels, and he got on the end of it and kicked a couple of goals in about 5 minutes. So a very good young player, Sam Blease. Very impressive start by the Demons, and Mark Neal to be very happy. Just some news on the Gold Coast Suns. Dion Presti came off late in that first quarter. He is now been subbed out with a right hamstring injury. So Liam Patrick is into the game for the Suns.
Thanks, Liam, and certainly from a Melbourne fans' point of view, they haven't had a lot to cheer about.
No, they've made the positional change as well. They've pushed Charlie Dixon to full forward, so they may be, on the look at that, they may be going to persist with the long bombs into the forward line.
Yeah, we're away, and they're looking to pick up where they left off here, Melbourne. Frawley to Trengove, pulled the kick nicely. Sylvia.
That's 50, is it?
It's 50 metres.
Yeah, it is.
Mackenzie's gone over the line there.
That's twice.
This will be a second.
Well, as soon as you hear the whistle go, you cannot encroach over the mark. It's as simple as that. I know he looked like Sylvia was playing on, but unless the umpire calls play on, if you encroach over the mark, you're always going to get 50 metres.
Well, it was going to be a shot from 55, and now it's a laydown was there from 2.
Yep. 2 goals to Sylvia. First goal of the second quarter, Melbourne.
It's an obvious statement. Certainly the Suns didn't need that start. They've just got to get themselves back into the game. That'll start by getting the clearances, which they've been able to do. But here, it's just a tackling ability to be able to pin the bodies of the Melbourne players that are running really hard. Their handball receivers are right up. Their spread's really good. And this is a bad mistake. Just well and truly over the mark.
What Melbourne been able to do, yeah, the 50 was always there. They've got 2 options. Every time they play with the ball, they look up, they can either go sideways or long.
2 goals to Sylvia. Look at that scoreline. It's a whitewash at the moment from Melbourne as Bennell gets the clearance for the Suns.
Well, they need a winner in their forward half, Gold Coast. They haven't had one winner yet.
Well, I tell you, they wouldn't mind the ball coming in a little bit better than that. It is just terrible the way they're using the ball. That's better.
That's a kick from Harbrow. And I thought Lynch was going to make a meal of it there, but he got a push, but completed the mark anyway.
Well, that's a better delivery. That's what the forwards want. It's pretty simple. Just put the ball out in front.
So it was Day, not Lynch. So Sam Day.
We saw Colin Sylvia kick one in the first quarter from the exact position.
Now that's out in front. That's what you want. Just give your forward a chance.
Kick 10 for the season. That's not going to be 11.
Well, that build-up included probably two of their most important players, Ablett across to Harbrow. They're both their most experienced players and both make good decisions, but gee whiz, there's some players that need to lift here for Gold Coast.
Well, even Sam Day then, I know that James Frawley give the free kick away. He still spilt the mark.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
It was a good
right.
kick, but he's still got to mark the ball.
He does, but that's what we're saying, though. At least put the ball out in front, puts pressure on the defender to either chop the arms or push in the back.
Going nowhere from that boundary throw-in. Might come out. Spencer's there, but he's wrapped up. One player who's in that huddle there for the Suns is Swallow. Just the one kick for him.
He looks sore. He's got the dual thigh pads on there. He looks like a sore boy over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
We talked about it pre-game to make sure the second-tier players for Gold Coast had no impact, and that's happening today.
Dixon's gone forward. Kick came in from Swallow, but Dixon just ran it back to where everyone else was. Here's Ablett around the corner. Can he get their first goal? Does it fall to the champ? It does.
Well, you look around the ground, who's going to have an impact for the Gold Coast Suns? He's already had 15 disposals. To the 3 inside 50s. He looks like the only player capable of winning their own ball, more importantly, using their own ball and making the correct decision. And that was a beautiful decision there under pressure. Good competition there from Charlie Dixon. He didn't win the contest, but he halved the contest instead of Melbourne marking the ball. But the champ, 15 disposals, 6 contested possessions, 4 clearances, 1 goal.
He's doing his job as expected. He's been brilliant. Nice little dish off by Swallow.
Yeah, some nice work. Good to see Swallow get into the game. Gary Ablett last start, I think it was 51 possessions here at the MCG against the Pies.
Yeah, he clocked up 50, didn't he?
Yep.
He's headed in that direction. Patrick is the sub into the game to Brennan, who squares it to Brown, who spots a vacant goal square, and his kick didn't quite make it.
I would have preferred that kick from Brown to go to a teammate.
Yep.
I think that's a kick in hope from 60 metres from Campbell Brown.
Up goes Sylvia, and down he comes with the footy.
He's in form.
Very good mark from Sylvia, and some good work off the ball from Rowan Bale as well, just to put a block on his opponent so he couldn't contest that mark.
Too high around the shoulder from the spoil.
Again.
Beautiful kick from Sylvia, though. All the defender could do there was give a free kick away. Look at the grab here from Colin Sylvia. This is
2 steps. Knee in the back of the head. Thank you very much.
copybook AFL mark, and there's Jeremy Howe on cue as well.
Yeah, he took a nice mark there and keeps it low as he normally does. Green comes in. Warnock trying to get it to the boundary line. Now Green realised he was trying to do that and just dragged him back.
Brad dragged it in.
Gold Coast with their worst first quarter for the season. Melbourne with their best.
Yeah, so far it's 13 scoring shots to 3.
Mackenzie from the clearance. Brennan will get there first. Tried to keep it in. Kicked it to the crowd.
Yeah, just didn't need to do that one.
He's one of their most experienced players. Brennan's only had the 3 disposals, but unfortunately the 3 kicks that he's had, 2 of them have been clangers.
Well, that was as low a percentage piece of play as you could wish to see.
To gain 20 metres at best, just need to take it over the line.
That's a free kick to Zach Smith, surely.
Yeah, it was a push from Rivers.
They're saddling up, the Ds.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's a bit of a bad sign there, Alistair. In the first quarter, they isolated and separated. They all want to join in the party at the moment. They've still got to play to their structures, even though they're dominating on the scoreboard.
Dixon was the target. Well worked by Tom McDonald, made good position on him. And he managed just to get it back to Frawley, who got a call out wide. Dunn was there. It's not getting out just yet.
So exactly double now inside 50s, 22 to 11.
Well, Gary Ablett, we've talked about 16 disposals. The next on baller with impact is Carmichael Hunt with 6, McKenzie with 6, and Riscatelli 5 off the ground. So he's playing a lone hand at the moment. But that's good coaching from Mark Neal as well, making sure that you're pretty sure Trengove's on Swallow.
Yeah,
Skipper doing a great job.
That's working well for them, isn't it?
Well, it is. They've gone for the second bananas in the Gold Coast teams, because Gary Ablett will get 40 on any player in the competition.
There he goes again.
He might get 50 today at this rate.
He might. Lyndon Dunn's gone back as the extra man, and there he is.
Yeah, Lyndon Dunn's the extra man at that end. Tom Lynch is the spare at the other end.
Dunn spots Frawley. McKenzie arrives, kept his feet for a while, almost threw it to Dixon, but in the end he did well.
I think he did throw it. He just got away with it.
Hands in the back there. That's clumsy there from Lyndon Dunn.
Coming back to Brown.
Just need some movement deep in the square here, Gold Coast. A lot of static forwards, just 30 metres out from goal. There's no movement. Look at that.
Well, actually, Brown
Not one bit of
expected him
movement.
to go there.
Yeah, but I think the forwards have to present.
Yeah, well, Sam Day was just saying, just kick it up in the air.
Yeah, well, that's the low percentage.
Ablett, clean hands.
Got his own ball.
Yeah, evades 2 players, kicks it to the top of the square. Not a bad kick.
That's a mark.
And that's Caddy.
Yeah, Tom McDonald's gone for the mark there. I think the Melbourne defender would be pretty disappointed with that. I think the last couple of minutes, we just had a couple of signs from Melbourne. Not getting ahead of themselves. You can't when you've only had 2 wins, but we saw 4 forwards up the other end competing, and we saw 3 or 4 Melbourne defenders. That was early. That would have been spiked, that ball.
Well, that's right. They've been really good when that ball comes in long to defend. Just an optimistic marking attempt on that occasion.
Man of the mark, 19 metres out. Probability 69%. Would have thought it would have been higher than that, but he's made the stats look pretty good.
Now, can I ask you a question? How do you reckon the Ablett and Morton matchup's going? Ablett's had 18 possessions and a goal, and Morton's had 3.
Yeah, well, we know what's happening there, Pickers. It's an unbelievable mismatch, but
It's a learning experience for Morton here. We see the mark top of the goal square from Caddy. Needed to spoil that one.
Yeah,
but
McDonald's
learning
gone for the
experience. But Ablett's not hurting them on the scoreboard at the moment. So what do? Say, Morton, you learn about work rate now.
I'm happy with it if I'm Mark Neal, because I've got Trengove, the
He's shutting everyone else down.
Yep.
on Swallow. One of their leaders, only 5 disposals. He only had 2 kicks and going at 50% effectiveness. So making sure the other 3 or 4 on balls have no impact at all. And as I said, it'll be a great learning curve for Morton, but Mark Neal and the coaching staff of Melbourne would be wrapped with the other on ballers.
Well, they could have done something about it if Caddy kicked that goal. It might have given them a little bit of impetus, but at the moment, Melbourne holding sway as Brennan drives the Suns forward, looking for Day. Made position on McDonald, then lost it. Patrick got free.
Oh, here he goes.
He's going to have a shot from there. It's going to float away across, and Grimes will take it. And they're away here, Melbourne. Running from Sylvia.
Here's the transition again. Great running from Frawley.
Yep. Jones ran hard as well. Frawley beat a couple to Sylvia. Can they go all the way here, Melbourne? Tapscott waits. Now into the pocket. Wants Brad Green. Jeremy Howe let him go at it, and he's got it.
That's a fantastic kick because it was out in front of Green. It was a well-weighted kick to get over the back so he could lead into the pocket, and his direct opponent was just totally out of position. Took a really easy mark in the end.
Colin Silver, we've talked about his 2 goals, his work rate, but he started in the back pocket, Colin Silver, and he ran the length of the ground, just about, and got the ball there to Green. That's great work rate from all the Melbourne players.
The ball use coming out of the fence all day has been terrific.
40% probability. Man on the mark, 38 metres out. He's better than 40%, Brad Green.
Yeah.
He's 100%.
He's excited, rightly so. It's been a long year for the Melbourne Football Club and Brad Green. He got very excited with that, and you can understand why, because they've only had the 2 wins. They would have come into this game thinking we need to start well. But have a look at Colin Sylvia here. We talked about his 2 goals. His work rate to run back in defence and really help his teammates is outstanding. You can just see here, gets the secondary disposal, then gets it out to Tapscott, and then Brad Green marks the ball. Great team play, Melbourne.
Well, if you want a good example, you have Caddy 20 metres out, almost directly in front, misses. Green's on a tight angle on the boundary, nails it.
Yeah, it was, and just a magnificent kick, just to get the ball in nice and long, well weighted to the advantage of the forward. It's not what we've seen at the other end of the ground.
Brennan trying to find Dixon, and did.
Well, that was.
Good lead.
Actually, it was a very good kick. Out over his head so he could run onto it.
But again, the deep forwards for Gold Coast are stationary. That's why Charlie Dixon's just going back looking for movement.
He's given it a hoof.
He has given it a long kick, but we saw that again from Riscatelli. They're just putting the arm up in the air and saying, just kick it in here. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Riscatelli shouldn't be calling for it at the top of the goal
Get out of
square.
there.
Exactly.
But Alistair, if you're a deep forward and you see someone mark the ball 70 out, if you're isolated, you stay home. But if there's nothing on, you create some movement for
Just
the kicker.
all run around.
Well, at the very least, you lead up and try to get back into the space. So, but you've got to move.
Kick out. Spoil falls for McKenzie. That's a good takedown low. Had forced a handball. Bennell getting plenty of it as usual. Gets it back in the 1-2 from Smith. He's not sure where to go, though. He's run himself into trouble. Patrick, clean bowled. On top of Jones, push.
Second of the ball.
Yeah, just a little bit clumsy to get into the back of Nathan Jones, and Liam Patrick might find himself get a 50-metre penalty here if he doesn't let this go.
It's got to be 50, doesn't it? And Jones easily just gets it over to Garland, and they're looking for a big switch here.
Yeah, they've got this real good horseshoe sort of defensive pattern set up where they've put players right out around the boundary line. And what this does gives you options wide, but also can open up the Suns through the middle of the ground. Now, they're being patient at the moment until something opens up.
And Garland spots Gisbert's on a long lead.
And have a look at the leg rope the Gold Coast Suns are giving Melbourne, though. That's the issue. We saw a game on Friday night, Geelong v Hawthorn. There was no time and space at all in that game. There's far too much space at the moment. Gold Coast allowing the Melbourne players.
Warnock read that the best. And he keeps it low. Off the bench comes Grimes. Could have been a very big collision there, but he went
Really
for the footy. But
dangerous.
there is a man down. Kyle Morton's come up with a problem with his wrist. He's straight off. And Ablett takes advantage.
He's
One
looking for
man to
movement.
kick to. And he decides to go short to Matera. So a couple of players off from that contest. Garland a bit sore as the short kick comes into Brennan.
Well, that's better. There was movement. There was movement all along. Gary Ablett looked up. He
That's
hit
right.
Matera got back, and all of a sudden he had two leads. And Brennan, movement attracts the player with the ball, and that's what they wanted. That's probably their best build-up of play. It wasn't exciting. It was just really clinical, good use of the ball.
And Jared Brennan's such a good athlete that if he's mobile and the ball's half decent, he's going to take those marks.
Well, it's a 48% probability. For Jared Brennan, that means it's probably 84 because he does everything in reverse. That's beautiful. They needed that, the Suns. Straight through.
Well, that'll give us some confidence to actually see how good quick ball movement. Here's the injury, and there's Grimes coming off the bench, and he could have been smashed into Gary Ablett, but Carl Morton's one who got clipped.
Garland also there.
And just a really dangerous situation. Here's the transition from Matera to Brennan. Plenty of movement forward, just a little 20-metre kick inside 50. It was either going to be Lynch or Brennan. Brennan was the one that did the job in the end, but Morton's the concern for the injuries.
So Brennan gets his first, and Prestia has been subbed off already for the Gold Coast Suns. And now Melbourne having some injury concerns on their bench. Their sub is James Magna. Here's Bennell.
You'll be looking forward to getting on.
Kick in towards Shaw. Wasn't quite sure where it went. Matera held the handball up for Harley Bennell, who is very clever, but can he get it from the distance? He keeps it low. Strong hands, Riscatelli, who at the moment, Lynchy, is playing as the full forward.
He's playing as the power forward, and there wasn't a great kick from Bennell off the boot, but what happened there, Riscatelli read the flight of the ball. It was low, it was going to drop short, and took off. Got a yard in front of his opponent, and at that stage of the ground, or that position on the ground, you get a metre start. Frawley was no chance.
Riscatelli off 2 steps. 2 in a row for the Suns.
Well, a little bit of a mini roll here, Gold Coast.
Well, it might be a little bit of a wake-up call to Melbourne as well, because as we said, and you called quite rightly, there was a couple of instances that would have concerned the Melbourne coaching staff where they just started to jump for the ball in packs in the forward line and then try to take marks in their deep defence as well. But that is a really good mark under pressure from Riscatelli, and from 10 metres out, he was always going to convert that one.
You wouldn't expect Riscatelli to get a yard on Frawley, but goals to their senior players.
Well, they're dominating this quarter. Have a look at the inside 50s this quarter, 9-3, Gold Coast favour. So they just need to hit the scoreboard. They've kicked the last two, so you can just see their work rates lifting around the packs.
And our man Donny upstairs just showed me the radar, boys. Some rain on the way. Pickers, there's some rain on the way.
Oh, ripper.
Going forward again, the Suns, they won the clearance. Lynch. It's out the back, heard the call from the umpire. And they're just sweating on it. Shaw comes up with it and hits it up high. Loose ball. Taken by Maloney with strength. Jones has got strength, but he's dumped to Harley Bennell. 3 in a row, Suns. Hello, hello.
Now, there's no doubt in the grandstand there's a little bit of concern from the Demons, and Harley Bennell, just nice little snap around the body. He's got his hand on the ball in this quarter. He's up to 19 disposals for the half, along with Gary Ablett with 19. They're both using the ball very well, and both have got a lot of class. Bennell, 8 for the quarter, and he's probably been the difference. He uses the ball well inside 50, and if you can use that sort of skill from 30 metres, you're going to kick a lot of goals.
All of a sudden, the Gold Coast Suns have gone mad.
Well, it starts in the middle. This quarter, we had a look at the discrepancy inside 50s. Clearances, 8 clearances to Gold Coast, only the 1 to Melbourne there. They smashed them in the contested possessions, 25-12. So
there we go.
Big Zach Smith's away. Just got a bit confused.
The big fella, but he's taken the game on. And he didn't go down holding his knee, did he?
He's a bit slow to get up. We'll keep an eye on Zach Smith. He's still down.
He is holding his left knee. Hopefully it's just a jar from hitting the ground.
Jones's kick is a good one to Tapscott. And he goes into the pocket. It's going to be a tight kick for Blease. As Smith's coming off.
Yeah, as Blease has that shot, Pickers, looks like Zach Smith is going to limp off with that already strapped left knee.
Yeah, well, it's a concern. You hope it maybe not be his knee. It might be his ankle, but I reckon by the looks of that, it looks like it is that knee that's...
he landed on it, Pickers.
Heavily strapped, but so you can see him holding it there, so this is not good news. He hasn't had a great season, Zach, but he's a real talent.
Well,
He looks sore.
this is a tough kick for Sam Blease. We saw Green thread one through with precision and skill. Blease just gives himself a yard on the angle. Needs it to come back. It's going to stay out there. But I guess if you're 40 points down at quarter time, you've got to say, OK, we just got to work back in blocks. Let's knock off 12 points this quarter, 15 points the next quarter and see what happens. And the Suns have managed to get it back by 13.
Well, some worrying signs early. As you said, we saw a couple of Melbourne forwards fly together to defend it. Gee, Gary Ablett.
How's that for a route?
Centre circle.
Gary Ablett has kicked that to the middle of the ground.
That's gone 75 metres.
That's a huge kick.
That is an enormous kick. We need to measure that. Talk about that during the week. But anyway, sub's been made for Melbourne. More on that as McDonald goes forward. And that's a courageous mark to Tapscott.
Really good grab. You can just see Melbourne's work rate has lifted now. And it took 3 Gold Coast goals in a row for Melbourne to get their game going back again. But that was a really courageous mark.
Yeah, running back with the fly of the ball, and just got a little clip from Taylor Hine, I think it was. And nothing too bad there, but just a little stinger on the ear, I would have thought.
You mentioned the sub. Yeah, Carl Morton's been subbed. He went off after the heavy clash before, and Magna is onto the ground.
49 degrees is the angle for Luke Tapscott. And again, it's off to the right-hand side. It's coming back. It came back beautifully.
That's a one-wood.
Oh, and he's pumped.
That's an amazing kick. That was just like your draw with the one-wood. Pull it out, just allowed the breeze to fade in off the right
Sorry,
post.
Danny, that's something I'm just completely foreign with.
Well, I don't know that one, Spartley.
Yeah, well, it's just a magnificent kick. That's what it is. And I think we all assumed it was going to go to the right of the goal stick, but it just faded in beautifully with the breeze. They needed that, Melbourne. I know they're well in front, but Mark Neal will be a little bit more relieved because their work rate has lifted the last couple of minutes.
He really rode that kick, and then he's just coming off for a check after that collision. But after 3 goals in a row to the Gold Coast Suns, it's a steadying goal for Melbourne. It's just what they needed.
Yeah, it is really important. The Gold Coast Suns still lead the quarter 4 goals to 3, but Melbourne are pressing.
Ablett won the clearance again. Swallow got it, boot to ball. Day keeps his feet. He wanted to get it back to Shaw. Grimes read it coming. Beats both of them. Done with Shaw.
They're definitely first to the ball this quarter, Gold Coast. You know, and the stats don't lie. It's 28 contested possessions to 14. That's double in Gold Coast favour. That'd be great for Bluey McKinnon. He'd be wrapped with that work rate.
And you mentioned the clearance rate is in favour of the Suns, as it was in the first quarter, but really been dominated now, 19-9.
Swallow for the impossible goal, and it remains impossible.
So Swallow's worked his way into the game quite nicely. He had the 8 disposals, obviously following Ablett and Bennell on 20 and 19 respectively.
Done with a long kick out. Favours the Gold Coast here. They're 2-on-1. They managed to collide with each other though. Russell, over the line he goes.
Well, the sub has gone to Gary Ablett, 2 pickers. James Magna. He's gone to the champ, the Gold Coast skipper.
There he is. About clearance work today. It's actually not a bad learning curve for James Magna. He hasn't played much footy either.
First to it here is Blees. Now there's a whistle.
Tackle here. James downfield. Yours. Yeah. To you, but downfield, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's coming back. It was a high tackle away from the ball. So Melbourne have it.
Magna's hurt that left ankle, I think, just when he took off after that kick as well, so a little bit sore.
Down the line, he was looking for bail.
Hands in the back there against Harbrow. It's a beautiful kick. It drew the free kick. That's all Harbrow could do, really.
It's what they've done very well all day. This is the best I've seen Melbourne use the ball by foot. Their disposal efficiency by foot's around the 74% mark. So I think there'll be too many times this year that Melbourne have used the ball much better.
Yeah, the league average is 66, so they're well above the league average as well.
And Trengo's taking marks in the forward 50.
That's a really good mark, and probably the main defender, big defender for the Suns, was kept grounded in Warnock. Just wasn't allowed to jump for that contest. See here, Warnock just blocked by Seller, and so that good work just allowed or made Campbell Brown go as the spoiler and just couldn't have the reach.
This is his best game for the year so far. I know we've only played a half of football, but he's playing extremely well. Yeah, dual skipper.
Here's the shot from the co-captain, straight as a die, and they've got the answers, the Demons.
It was a beautiful finisher. It's no coincidence. The dual skipper, Grinder's playing extremely well, and Trengove now has 11 disposals, 1 goal, 6 handball receives. That's a beautiful contested mark. You're going to see a lot more of that as the years progress. You play in the midfield and go forward. It's a great art to have. We see Jimmy Bartel, Brownlow medalist for Geelong, being able to do it. And
yep. Gary Ablett as well.
Yep.
Goes forward and kicks a few. So great to see. As you said, the co-captain had a tough year.
Some wonderful finishing in front of goal by Melbourne. We saw Green with that beauty, and then Trengove there.
After they struggled in the first term, just started to spray a few at the start of the game, but really starting to zero in on the goals.
And it's 4 goals apiece now in this quarter, so they've steadied when the Gold Coast got a bit of a run on. Patrick, ball ricochets out. Brennan can't get free. It was pinched by Blees. No, it's Sylvia. Caddy. Comes out to Shaw. Fires out the handball to Matera. Still a loose ball to be won. They're going backwards, the Suns, but now Harbrow has it. And he gets the kick out in front of Day. Gets a bad bounce. Maloney first to it for Melbourne. Day stays with him. Chance here, though, for the Gold Coast. Hunt gives it to Bennell. Sweating on it. Handball was just touched before it got through to Matera. McDonald. Still going here. Strauss searches for the boundary line and found it.
Well, Michael Riscatello, we say he's the forward. The reason he's there, he's injured. He hasn't moved out of the goal square for 10 minutes. There's Lyndon Dunn and Michael Riscatello. You see his right knee heavily bandaged. Zach Smith already off the ground.
in trouble. Yeah, they've got some concerns.
Prestia as well.
Yep.
I think Michael Riscatello has really struggled physically for the year, really. He just seems sore. He hasn't got the same sort of run.
That's a wonderful handball from Harley Bennell to open up Shaw, but he missed to the left-hand side.
And he's been out of the side. Only came back into the side this week, but yeah, obviously he's still struggling with injury.
Well, he's certainly been on and off the ground a number of times, but you're right. And with Prestia already subbed out of the game, there were already 2 runners down in their midfield.
He's going all the way here, Blees. Sorry, Liam. I thought he was going to go all the way for just an amazing goal. He just took on Matera and said, "You won't catch me."
He should have kept going.
Yeah.
Good to see.
That's a real concern for Riscatello. If he's injured. I think Melbourne will be aware of that at half-time. The coaching staff for Melbourne will say, run off at every opportunity.
And use his opponent.
Yeah, get the overlap going.
Howe in a 1-2 with Gisberts. It's not his best kick. It's an up and under.
Only one player wanted that.
It was Trengove. All the Suns just stood back.
Yeah, that's indicative of how the game's been played for most of the game, other than a 5-minute purple patch in this second quarter. There was 3 Gold Coast Suns spectating Trengove to make that high ball. Now, it wasn't the best of kicks, but you'd rather see, Blue McKenna would rather see 2 Gold Coast players clash in that high ball.
Yeah, exactly. Still a bit happening off the ball. Trengove involved. And Shaw.
And there might be a little bit more here. No, there's a ball up.
And tackling pressure, one of the indicators that we focus on is in favour of Melbourne. They're leading at the moment 34-27.
Knock back to Garland. He wants to push it out to Magna. Got his boot to it. Matera. Just off a step. Shaw needs to be strong there, and he gets one in the back.
Sort of a nothing kick, though, wasn't it? It was a 15-metre pass. Just need some run from behind Gold Coast as well. They, after a mark or free kick, they just look forward, which is okay, but switch the ball a little bit and get some run and counter-attack going.
Day up, swallow the crummer. But Dunn's going to get there first for Melbourne.
Well, Riscatelli's on one leg.
Absolutely.
He can barely get there. And luckily the kick went out of bounds.
Well, he struggled to actually even stop. He got half pace up, but then struggled to actually stop because there must be a fair bit of pain going through that right knee. So obviously in a world of hurt at the moment. So just making up the numbers at the top of the square.
And here is the top of the square. And here he is.
But a bit of experience. And look, he's sore.
Oh, you could feel that up here.
Don't give it away.
Goal. Gee, Lyndon Dunn would be disappointed with that, but it was a beautiful kick. Used his body well.
He did, but gee, we saw those 2 leads, how sore he is.
Walking on nails.
Well, this very second, though. Oh, dear.
No, that's due to the injury. You can just see it was going to hurt when the football hit the foot. He's showing a lot of courage to be out there for his teammates. So hopefully his teammates can sense the fact that he's out there trying to do the team thing and can lift around him.
Here's Jeremy Howe. A minute to go in this first half. Sylvia around the corner. The bounce away from Brown.
Yeah, I think the reason he is out there's already 2 players down on the bench. So people will be over saying, why is he on the ground?
Well, just losing 1 to rotate.
Well, exactly right. So they've got at least 2 rotations at the moment with Shaw and Dixon. You know, and Charlie Dixon, unfortunately, ruckman. So they've really only got 1 runner on the bench. So if you take Riscatelli off, you've got no runners on the bench. You've only got your resting ruckman. So that's why he's out in the ground at the moment.
Margin is 38 approaching half-time. Magna worked hard to get it out. And we'll go again.
It'll be quite interesting at half-time whether Mark Neal puts James Frawley or Tom McDonald, 2 really good runners, on Riscatelli instead of Lyndon Dunn. You know, and just take the game on a little bit. Lyndon Dunn's playing the defensive role here well.
I think that'll evolve into an attacking role. Whether it may remain Lyndon Dunn, but he's going to go off, run optimistically, and they've got to use him.
I'm not saying Lyndon Dunn's not a great runner, but I know for a fact that McDonald and Frawley are 2 of their elite endurance runners.
Bennell through the middle to Patrick.
This is near where they need that run from behind to support here. So 1 kick sideways, so they then can enter 50 with a bit more purpose.
Tapped over by Day to Russell. It was a clever knock. Russell couldn't get free. Swamped by the Melbourne defence. Matera going to be wrapped up by McDonald. The Suns were hoping for a late goal, but the Melbourne D just shut it down. Half-time here at the MCG. And after a little bit of a burst by the Gold Coast Suns to get the margin a bit closer, Melbourne reacted and held firm. And they go in feeling pretty comfortable. They go in on the scoreboard leading by 38 points. We'll take a break. Welcome back. Gold Coast Suns going through their final preparation to get set for this second half. They've got a big job ahead of them because that team there, Melbourne, they lead by 38 points and they've been very good. They look like a team that hasn't struggled for wins throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly, and they were challenged in the early part of that second term. They managed, the Gold Coast Suns, to string 3 goals together,
Yep.
but then, to the Demons' credit, they went and smacked on 4 goals to lead by 38 points. So not the same as quarter time, but they answered the challenge.
Let's hear from Jade Rawlings, the assistant coach of Melbourne. Liam caught up with him just a few minutes ago.
You'd be really pleased with that first half, Jade.
Yeah, especially the first quarter. We thought we played really hard, won the ball in close, and we used it particularly well. Probably the best we've used it in tough conditions. Just that second quarter, they won it in close. I think it was minus 15 contested for the quarter, so that was the main talk there, along with the clearances.
And that'll be the focus in the second half, making sure they don't get those clearances.
Yeah, well, a couple of those clearances in that quarter had a big impact in the game. When the ones early, we felt as though we win the ball back from that situation. So we're just gone through how we can tighten up that situation of the game.
Okay, good luck, mate.
Thanks, Pix.
Danny, what are you expecting in the second half? Where is the change coming for the Gold Coast? And it's probably business as usual for Melbourne.
No, business as usual. We heard Jade Rawlings. One thing Gold Coast have been able to do is win the clearances, 26-10. But they just haven't had no goal scoring from those clearances. And they did for a purple patch there, as Jade talked about. They kicked 3 goals in a row, Gold Coast. I think the big lift is Lynch and Sam Day. I know they're only young, but they need to take a grab, and a couple of strong grabs just to get their midfield excited, because the midfield are winning the ball. They're getting the ball inside their forward 50. Gold Coast they've been in 24 times to Melbourne's 26, so it's only 2 less entries, but they need to catch the ball.
The other concern is, as we saw with the Gold Coast Suns huddle there was no Zach Smith. So he went down with that knee injury halfway through the last term, and he hasn't returned to the field. So already one player down with Prestia subbed out, and Zach Smith appears that he'll play no further part in the game. Certainly hasn't come out after half-time, so we'll probably check during the quarter to see if we can get an update on his status.
Well, I did run into him just before half-time, actually, as the half-time siren went, and said, how's the knee? And he said, it's pretty sore, mate. And that was about all that you'd get out of him at that stage. So, yeah, it's a real concern. He was really hobbling around, and as you say, with Riscatelli sore, obviously playing under duress, and then Prestia already out. They just haven't got the rotations, you would think.
And have a look at Charlie Dixon there. He's right leg heavily bandaged as well. And I think Riscatelli's walking down there, so he'll be, his right leg's heavily bandaged as well. He'll be playing out of the goal square as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether Melbourne exploit the fact that Michael Riscatelli is injured out of the goal square and try and get the run and overlap. Looks like Colin Garland's gone on to Riscatelli now. It was Lyndon Dunn early.
Brad Green to start the second half on the bench. There's Riscatelli playing on one leg. So
yeah, massive task.
The interesting thing for me is that you mentioned Day and Lynch, Danny. Day into the ruck. Seen him do this before. He's a good athlete.
I like him in the ruck.
Move. Yeah,
I think it's really tough to develop your game as a forward. I think he's a very good athlete, and this is where he can show his athleticism around the ground.
Handball, first one from Magna, misses the target. So here's these 2 players, Bennell and Ablett. 25% of the disposals of the team for 2 players.
Unheard of.
Yep. Harbrow wobbles it forward. Not his best kick, but it might fall for Lynch. He can't get past. Good tackle, Garland. And McDonald, who's been good, wins out onto the chest of Dunn.
Well, they were trying to get the ball out to Michael Riscatelli, who was sitting out the back because he couldn't move, but just couldn't get a clean possession out there.
Yeah. Tom McDonald's been very good for Melbourne. 13 disposals, 86% by foot.
He's been one of the real finds of the year, hasn't he, Spud? Tom McDonald.
Well, he finds a way, and we found out, Pickers, he's an endurance athlete as well. That's what you want from a defender. Not only can they win the ball, but they've got enough energy to create and counter-attack.
He's just 19 years of age.
I think Magna's down.
Yeah, he's
for
down
Melbourne.
holding his lower back, so he's really sore.
He hasn't moved. He's still on his knees after that stoppage.
And Swallow has it for the Suns, and he just pops it up, and a stretch from Lynch.
Well, that's better. Marking the ball.
Oh. Well, he's done well, the big fella. Interesting to see Day, as you said, Matty. He started in the ruck and then swapped straight over with Charlie Dixon. So probably an indication of that sore leg that Dixon has, that right shin. They don't want him jumping at the ruck contest.
We just saw James Magna off the ground in the hands of the trainer, so hopefully he's okay.
So Matera for the shot. And once again, they're off target. We had a miss from Riscatelli, who was on one leg. We had a miss from Caddy. Now a miss from Matera.
And that's the disappointing part, Matty, is
the
inside
Dixon
50s
contest on Magna. Magna's actually just buckled under the contest. He didn't really get hit, I don't think.
No, there wasn't much in that, was there?
Frawley's kick out wide.
Beautiful kick, beautiful mark there from
the specialist.
He hasn't taken a hang just yet today.
Wasn't high enough, that kick, was it?
This one is. And coming in and taking the mark and doing a good job is Bale.
Bale. But that's really disappointing. Matty Warnock's played a lot of deep defence, and he played a lot of very good football for the Melbourne Footy Club. He'd be disappointed. There was a pack of 6 players, and from the being president of the Fullbacks Association, Spud, you'd be disappointed with that effort.
It just had to be halved. It's as simple as that. And it's really disappointing because they had a shot at goal 15 seconds ago, and now Melbourne are going to make them pay.
This will be the 3rd time it's happened where it's gone down the other end, and Melbourne make them pay. Goal Bale.
Great for Melbourne, but Gold Coast would have talked about half-time. Let's get off to a positive start in the 3rd quarter. As we see another very good mark there from Jeremy Howe. But they had a shot at goal, Gold Coast, to get them going something. Have a look there. You talked about Harbrow. Lost contact. You've got Warnock. That is really disappointing. Maverick Weller as well. One fist had to be in there. It was more than Harbrow. He was his direct opponent. Half-hearted, not good enough. Got to halve the contest there. Far too easy.
Yep.
Far too easy, that goal. Great play from Bale, but again, we talk about Gold Coast. They had a chance to start the 3rd quarter really well. Had a shot at goal, they miss it, and Melbourne make them pay down the other end.
Magna's back in there, so that's a good sign, and he's working hard to get it off of Day.
Well, he's tough. We know that.
He looked like he was in a fair amount of discomfort. As see Mark Neild in the coach's box, he'd be pretty content with the way things are going. We've seen the change already made, so Day goes forward, Dixon into the ruck.
It's a great opportunity for James Magna too, isn't it, playing on a superstar player in Gary Ablett.
Strauss under some pressure here. Got it to McDonald, and there again, it just shows signs of maturity, McDonald. Shoulders the arms and pushes it out wide. That's a good mark by Weller.
Yeah, had his front position and was happy to back himself in there.
And he found Lynch.
This one's always the issue.
Charlie Dixon wants it long. He's moving.
Well, he's going to the goal square. At least Charlie Dixon is moving. That's a positive.
It's a holding free kick. It'll be Matera with a shot at goal.
Yeah, it was good movement from Matera. He drew the free kick, and James Strauss, all he could do was actually half out. And you can just see here, that's good movement. Beautiful way to kick out in front. Gee, there wasn't a lot in it.
No.
There wasn't a lot in it, but once again, you put the ball out in front of movement, it's going to put pressure on the defender. So probably a lucky one, but he got it.
Well, he missed one not too long ago to the left-hand side. He's missed one to the right. And for a goal sneak, he's kicked 8 goals, 14 for the season.
Yeah, well, that's not a great return because it is a tough position to play, the small crumbing forward. You need to make the most of the opportunities, especially on a day like this. To give themselves half a chance, they need to make the most of their limited forward 50 entries.
3 behind so far, and he might get another chance. And surely after going left and going right, he puts one down the fairway, Spud.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know what's going through your head, and it used to go through my head all the time. You're always thinking now is, I hope I don't miss this one.
A lot of people argue there was nothing going through your head when you were having shots.
There was a few issues. But no, big kick.
Was doing the hard part, winning the ball.
Yep. Suns need this for reward for effort. Matera needs it. And he's got the yips.
And probably the next chance you'll see him have a shot from a marking situation, he's probably going to play on because he's getting more and more nervous. There's more and more anxiety there with the shot. And it's energy sapping for the team when they don't get rewarded on the scoreboard for some good work.
And they're keeping it in the forward half at the moment.
That's probably another sign of a bit of nerves, and Shaw really needed to mark that one. He had plenty of opportunity to mark it, but just not confident in his positioning.
Dixon made front position. Ablett slipped at the caddy, who cannot get free of a very solid tackle. Gisberts. Ablett sort of a bit of a chat to the umpire saying he's holding my jumper. As we might go again for a secondary bounce here.
So they've been able to maintain the ball left of screen in the forward half. Just got to get reward on the scoreboard. That's the thing they've got to do now.
We have a look at the score, 73 to 32, but they've had 2 more inside 50s. That would be the disappointing part of for Guy McKenna and the coaching staff, and more importantly the players, just the ability to finish off forward of the centre.
And that's where we've spoken about over the last probably few months, is they'd been in a much better position, and no, you can't help injuries, but if Nathan Bock was there, you could probably get away with a few of those bombs into the forward line. Not that he's going to mark them all, but he makes a really good contest and get the ball to ground.
Jeremy Howe got it away. Swallow just has not been able to get free all day. Grimes, the tackler, rewarded for that. Spots a man in the middle. And wasn't that clean from Maloney, but still manages to get the kick up. Crummer needed here. Harbrow slung to the ground. That's a tackle. It'll be a Harbrow free kick.
Jared Harbrow. Clear out, boys. Clear out.
Needs some hard running. He's not getting much.
There's not.
Just Shaw.
Well, he's the only one that's moving.
Yeah, the rest all stop.
Surprise, he got the ball.
Hands on the hips for a breather.
I think we talked to Guy McKenna pre-game, Alistair. We asked about the young legs and how they're going to the end of the season. It looks like they're just about the end of the marathon, aren't they?
Absolutely.
There's some older legs with some speed from Harbrow. Open forward 50. Riscatelli can't run.
No, not at all.
An easy one to clear.
Hands in the back.
Hands in the back. Gold Coast is going to send it in again.
Well, Bale will be disappointed with that. The free kick was there. There's no need to do it with the bump. You just see the bump, the hands in the back. No need to do it. You can still hold him out without using your hands.
Now, they've chipped the ball forward, but again, not a heap of movement.
Lynch came at it. Joel McDonald cut it off just in time. Frawley did well to get it back to him. Kick out wide. He comes into the space. Came from Sylvia to Tapscott. He keeps it low to Seller.
Their pinpoint passing's been a feature today, Melbourne. They're not afraid to pull the trigger and hit a short target. And what that does, creates some run. If you know you're going to get the ball, you'll run.
Just missed the target, Danny, as soon as you mentioned that. Yeah.
Nice work, Spud.
Patrick wants to take him on. He wants to take on McDonald. He got a long way, and it's a dangerous kick forward. But done on the last line. And Melbourne have got some space here. Grimes.
He's got a lot on offer.
It's going to end up with Maloney. Campbell Brown.
Just a cannonball just came through there. There's a blur across the screen. Campbell Brown just came flying across. And they're just bringing the ball back because it was the initial free kick was down the field, which went about 10 metres. So from after that hand pass.
He's had a very quiet day, Campbell Brown, to give that free kick away. He's only had the 3 disposals. Not that effective with all those disposals either.
That's a good stretch and mark from Jeremy Howe.
He's getting
Just
there.
a marking machine.
He's just working up to it.
Warming up to it,
He's
isn't he?
given a few hints that he might go for one.
Just a few preliminary jumps.
And there's another good strong grab. They've been able to do that all day.
Well, that's bad defence. Again, we talked about it early on. Bale took a mark in a pack. I'm not sure whether the Gold Coast players are getting blocked out, but there's Jeremy Howe, as we've seen.
Fantastic lead.
Since the start of his career. But this mark here, really disappointing. Warnock.
And Taylor Hine.
Yeah.
I mean, young player,
You
inexperienced,
can wear that
light
from Taylor
body.
Hine. But Warnock's got to be stronger. He's got to find a way to get a fist onto that ball.
This is a 48% probability, but it's Brad Green. And he kicks his third. He doesn't worry about stats, he just bangs it through.
They're making the most of their opportunities, Melbourne. Yeah, Taylor Hine, he'll learn from that. That high ball, Brad Green's such a beautiful contested mark for his height. He just needs to play side on. He got in front there, and he was in no man's land. So it's okay to play in front, but you've got to read the flight of the ball. Yeah. So he got in front of Brad Green. You can see in his position, but the ball was floating over his head. So all he had to do was play on Brad Green's side and then dictate whether you go to the front position or the back position or stay side by side. But that's the experience of Green.
Yeah, he's a super player.
Once again, Melbourne with a set shot goal. all at the other end. Set shot, miss.
Yeah, and there's the inside 50s, 7-2, and certainly time in forward half, 72% for the Suns. So they've had the ball, they just can't get the reward for effort once they go inside 50.
Well, Melbourne have been in twice for 2 goals.
Yeah, Melbourne
Contested grabs.
have won the quarter by 9 points. Green has 3.
And look at all the key indicators as a coaching staff, you'd be quite pleased. You're winning contested possessions, you're winning the clearances, you're winning the inside 50s, but it's just the finishing skills going forward and the inability to mark their own ball inside their forward 50.
Boundary throw in. Salah over the top of Trengove as Ablett gets rid of Magna.
And Spud, your point's valid, say, with the Taylor Hine situation, using his body better, but I think as the key post defender, Matthew Warnock, if it's anywhere in his area, he's got to kill the contest and just smash it into row 8.
Or cause a spillage.
Yeah.
Make sure that pack splits open. Use yourself as a battering ram.
It was just held out of the contest far too easy on that last occasion.
Jones just won the free kick. High tackle. Now he's going to have a go here. And he sets it up high. Brad Green was there. No sign of Jeremy Howe. Blees, just a fumble, might pay off. Tapscott to Bale. Ablett wraps him up. Harbrow comes out with it. Hine, just a fumble, could be costly. Too high.
Yeah, you got the high contact, so a bit of a fumble. A little unlucky from Jack Trengove. Now they just need some run on the outside, so they haven't really got it.
The hands in the back, so very lucky there, the Suns, because Melbourne have done everything right.
Yeah, missed a bullet there, and I think Patrick's just lucky to get that one. Oh, they're out here. Brennan in the forward 50. Got to get it to him.
He's got to get it to him, and he can't just yet.
Good manning the mark from Lyndon Dunn. That was outstanding.
Great manning the mark, and now Brennan's out of it. Patrick's kick in. Brennan to Crummett. Lynch, wrapped up by Joel McDonald. Well played. And now Melbourne to run. Jones. Well, he just stopped the run. And they're forced to go back. Grimes. Sylvia. Just overuse of it here, Melbourne.
Riscatelli.
I don't know why he's on the ground, Spud.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to just go with a couple of less rotations.
Well, look at the overlap now. Melbourne have always got an extra in their defence because of the fact that Riscatelli can't man up at all.
Well, actually, I think the half-time break did him more harm than good. I think he's cooled down a little bit. He's very sore. He can't move. He can't push off. He wouldn't be able to take a contested mark now because he's got no strength through the leg. So it's a real sign of the desperate times for the Suns at the moment.
Howe's long kick in, looking for Brad Green. It's a beautiful kick. Green can play on. He's got 3. Make that 4.
Great forward craft from Brad Green. And I don't be too harsh on a guy playing his 5th game, Taylor Hine, but all the dangerous space is behind. And that's what you have to do when you're playing defence, especially when the ease of the ball coming out. See Taylor Hine play in front, all the dangerous space between Brad Green and the goal umpire. At least force Brad Green to lead up. If he leads up, he marks the ball at 50 out. But he's in no man's land at the moment. But that's the Riscatelli factor. Riscatelli's inability to put pressure on up the other end makes it so easy for the forwards to score for Melbourne.
It's his best return this year, 4 goals.
Well, you talk about impact inside the forward 50s, and the Gold Coast and Melbourne have had the even inside 50s. Melbourne have had 21 disposals inside their forward 50 for 20 scoring shots.
Yeah.
Gold Coast have had 36 disposals inside their forward 50 for 12 scoring shots. So very efficient going forward, Melbourne, and very inefficient going forward, Gold Coast.
Bennell and Ablett continue to wax. But to no avail for the Suns on the scoreboard as Grimes peeled off, read it pretty well, but just spilt the mark. Second chance for Day. Bennell. That's not going to make the distance. It's up for a jump. And Lynch has got it.
It's a good mark, and top of the goal square, dangerous position. Riscatelli was there again, but he couldn't impact the contest. But nice mark over the top from Tommy Lynch.
Melbourne fans not happy. To the naked eye when I was calling it on the binoculars, it looked a mark. Well, it doesn't really matter. Lynch hasn't scored.
He's missed everything.
Well, that was a drop punt from there. Surely he hadn't been forced around on the angle. It was on a 45 degree.
Now, we've seen Tommy Lynch do that on a number of occasions up at Metricon Stadium. He's prepared to go on the left as well from the other side of the ground to execute that skill, but we've seen a few of them actually go the wrong way.
You just do the percentage play, surely.
Well, he had a chance to atone, but unfortunately he kicked it into the back of Swallow. Let's take a look.
Let's have a look at the
Have a look at the mark as well.
I don't get that. You just go back. You see Jason Dunster, yourself, Alistair, Tony Lockett, they just go back and kick a drop punt. Especially on that
It's a straight
angle.
kick.
The best full forwards the game I've ever seen just kick drop punts. Done, caught.
What that does too, it deflates your teammates, and all it does is build Melbourne's confidence to really, finish this game off full of running. But well, that's deflating for his teammates.
It is, and again, I think the inside 50 count for this term is about 9-3, and they just can't impact the scoreboard.
And they're looking to do it again here. Blease has got the wheels on.
Good support from Jones.
And he spotted him.
Oh, kick.
Look at the speed of Blease, and look at the kick from Jones, and he's going to play on.
I like him taking. I like it. Take him on.
Goes one way, goes the next. Didn't get the right bounce.
He was in two minds then. He thought, will I take him on? I think if he had went straight away, he would have got around. So if you make your mind up to take them on, go all the way. He was hedging his bets there a little bit, but I'd be telling a guy such as Blease with his speed, every opportunity, you keep the game going.
He's exciting. He's had the 3 shots at goal now. Hasn't had a lot of the ball, but good to see him playing some good football at the senior level after a lot of time with a frustrating injury.
It was hard running to get to the space. He was rewarded. Now Russell's kick is out in front of Lynch.
Be interesting to see how long the coaching staff go with Riscatelli. Well, I suppose the game's getting away from him, and I know that they need the rotations on the bench, but you need to look at his long-term, the benefits, whether he's going to impact that injury anymore.
That's right, it's the balance, and they're trying to just keep him out of the road there, but as you said, he's got no impact on the contest.
Russell's kick in that direction.
Oh!
Do you know what?
He's on one leg.
Just as you finished, no impact on the contest. He almost kicked the miraculous goal. They could have played that for 40 years.
Oh, absolutely. That's a bit of gold commentary there. Probably the worst thing, it's hit that sore knee.
But just goes to show how, what a great thinker of quick-thinking footballer he is.
Leave him out there and kick goal of the year.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. He should be there. Stay there.
So close, Lynchy, to immortality.
Oh, that's right.
I've been giving some thought to that Tom Lynch kick, that kick around the corner. I blame Steve Johnson. He's the one they all think that they can do what Steve Johnson does.
Well, Tom Hawkins, his only shot he missed on Friday night, I know we're getting away from this game, Pickers, was the one where he tried that. Tom Hawkins, he kicked 6 goals, 1.
Yeah. So the Suns looking for a switch here. Warnock's got plenty of time to keep going. That's his next kick he's not sure about. McKenzie can do the same. He can keep moving. Now Hine is on the wing. McKenzie floats it. It was a poor kick. Ooh. Gee, that's in the back for Tapscott.
Tapscott got hit hard there in the lower back. But that was
some deep breaths.
That wasn't a great kick from McKenzie. We've seen the Cannons misfired a fair bit this season.
Yeah, it hasn't been good, has it? And he gets another chance. And in slow motion almost here, the Suns. Harbrow to Patrick.
It's as if they've mentally conceded a little bit. And no one ever stops trying on a football field, but there's no desire. There's no desire to run and carry. You've got Gary Ablett doing that, but a lot of his teammates are just going through the motions at the minute.
So what are you saying, Danny? They're just sort of playing when the ball's in the air?
Well, exactly right. They're playing to the scoreboard, and that's human nature, Matty. When you see the scoreboard, the discrepancy on the scoreboard such as this, when you're a young team, human nature suggests that may mentally just put the cue in the rack and wait for next week. And they've got a big game next week against the Giants at home. They've never won at Metricon Stadium, so there'll be a little bit of that in it. And that comes with experience.
It'd be disappointing if that's what they're thinking. They came here today and they're full of confidence they could beat Melbourne. They've had one flat game, which is against Sydney. They've had a good month of footy, and they're showing absolutely nothing at the moment. It's been really disappointing.
I reckon you're spot on, Pickers, and I think that's what Spud's saying. They came here with the expectations and real expectations they can win this game and certainly challenge right to the final siren. But they've been blown off the park, 53 points down. That mental fatigue has kicked in, and they've just gone back into some half-paced mode at the moment.
Well, I can tell you
They've
right
just had
now,
about 25 possessions in a row.
I was going to say, tell you right now, if they bring this sort of a game against the GWS Giants next week, there's no hope of winning. They're going to have to come with a much better mindset than they brought this afternoon.
No, they will. Absolutely. They'll have to.
Look, the interchange has some impact, I know that. They've had 83 interchanges, Gold Coast to Melbourne's 102, so they've had 20 more, Melbourne. And we know that when you get injuries early, it does impact, but not to this level. I think that'd be a get-out-of-jail-free card from the coaching staff to say to the players, look, the reason why we didn't run the game out is because we had injuries early.
Melbourne haven't touched the footy for about 3 minutes here. But there's nothing happened on the
They haven't
scoreboard.
scored, though, yeah.
So Melbourne quite happy to just let the Gold Coast do what they need to do, and they'll get the footy shortly. As Dixon kicks it up high, straight to a Melbourne defender in done. Doesn't matter, he's kicked it out on the full.
I think,
Frustrating.
I think the Gold Coast can look at this game, and they've won the contested possessions and they've smashed Melbourne the clearances 31-15, and that's 20 years ago that would win you every game of football.
Yeah.
But the courage to run and create and give your teammate options is just as important now as winning the hard ball.
McDonald at the back with the spoil. Matera there first. Sylvia put it out in the path of McDonald. It was an intelligent handball off the ground. And here's McDonald growing in confidence with every possession. Just missed his target in Sylvia. Shaw back to Hunt.
Well, they're out here.
Brown, Harbrow, Bennell. He'll take it and go.
That's
He loves
bad.
this situation. And he straightens up and he kicks a goal. He's Harley Bennell and he's very, very good.
Gary Abbott Senior and Harley is amazing game. 30 disposals. He's gone at 83% by foot. He's won his own ball. The clearances have been terrific, and he's been able to take the game on. He's had 17 handball receives,
Yeah.
and some of the Gold Coast players have had one. Some have had none. He's had 17, so he's created some run. That's the level, and Bloy McKenna will show the team that's the required effort against the Giants next week.
Ablett and Bennell.
Yeah, Bennell's been extremely good. Have a look at the score sources from turnovers, and that's not a good sign for the Suns, and certainly Melbourne dominating stoppages as well.
It's fair to say that we know that Gary Ablett will win the best and fairest. It's fair to say that Harley will come second. Harley's going to win the leading goal kicker.
Yeah, he's been really good. He's had a fantastic year. He's one of the players, probably like Caddy, that's jumped up this year. I mean, a number of the second-year players have struggled with the workload in their second season, which happens. We see it often, but Bennell has stepped up, been a very good player.
Still comfortable for Mark Neild on the scoreboard, 47 points. They've won this quarter, even though there's been plenty of disposals at the other end. Tapscott wheels around. Brown there first in front of Green.
Now, they've got to go quickly, and they've got a chance out in the far wing. But now, across half forward, they need the run and spread.
Now he's got to choose who to go to. Little handball over the top to Russell. Good chase, Sylvia. Didn't give up on it. Should have been rewarded. Hunt over the top of McDonald. Did well to get it to Caddy. His kick ill-directed and misses Lynch, and we've got to throw in.
Now, some of the Sun supporters will be blaming the half-backs there for not moving it on quickly. But the fact is, they had no targets across half-forward. So Russell looks, he had no one to kick to, so he had to risk turning the ball over by getting tackled. Gave a rushed handball because he was under pressure, but there was no one 50 metres away down the line.
And there's a bit happening with Ablett and
Ablett's
Magna.
gone to ground.
And Ablett gets up and with the free kick.
Something must have happened before that for Magna to react that way.
And he kicks it straight to Magna.
Probably a square up.
He's done extremely well, Magna, on Ablett this quarter. He still had 7 disposals, Gary, but he had 20 in the first half.
McKenzie should have given the first one, but they still end up with it here, the Suns. Harbrow, Weller, caught, kick comes in. It's all Melbourne. And it's McDonald again. Really liked his game. Rivers.
Here's the spread from Melbourne. Wasn't a great handball, but the numbers were out and running.
Oh, done. Just a little bit casual. Got free, Grimes. And they won it back, Gold Coast. Well done, Matera.
Yeah, good work. Some good tackling pressure. And the tackles have gone in favour of Melbourne now, but that is something we haven't really seen enough of over the last hour of play.
Missed his target. If he hit it, Brennan might have had a chance to take a shot at goal, as he did in the first quarter. It might have been a bit easier. An interesting quarter. Melbourne didn't have a lot of the footy, didn't have a lot of the inside 50s, but they've increased their lead on the scoreboard. It's 47 points now, and Melbourne 3 down, 1 to go. We'll take a break from the MCG on Sunday afternoon. Three-quarter time huddle for Melbourne, and Mark Neal would be very pleased to be in this position. Only the second time this year that he's had a comfortable lead at three-quarter time.
Well, they need to win 4 quarters. They've been able to do that, Matty, and you have a look at the scores there.
Well, it was the start that really got them going. You talked about it, Danny. You said they needed a good start, and they led by 40 points at quarter time. The Gold Coast got a little bit going in the second quarter, won the quarter. It was 38 at half-time, but now it's 47 points. Let's just head down to Liam Pickering on the boundary.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of the walking wounded here, as we saw a lot of players going off the ground. You can see just behind me there, Zach Smith walking past. Now, it's not his knee. He's got his leg in a boot, so it looks like it's his ankle, which is probably a better result, considering we were at some stage there we were thinking maybe it was an ACL. So Zach Smith's certainly not great in a moon boot. Dion Prestia with a hamstring injury, out of business as well. Riscatelli running around on one leg. So the Gold Coast are really struggling with rotations. The other thing is, from the Melbourne perspective, Cale Morton was also subbed out in that quarter as well. So a few sick and sorry boys. It's becoming a pretty long season for the Suns.
Yes, a very important last quarter for that man and the Gold Coast Suns. And Brownlow watch, here's his votes over the last 5 years. 5th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 5th. How's he going to go this year, Spud? I mean, he's had some massive games. He had a 50 against Collingwood here. He had, I think, the first 4 or 5 weeks over 40. Can he vote? Can he pull in votes with only 1 win?
Well, they won 3 games last year and he had 23 votes. You see there at the bottom, 2011. I don't think he'll get that many because they've only won the 1 game, and he's had some outstanding games, don't get me wrong, but even that game against Collingwood, I thought that the fact that he had 50, there was still some more impact from a couple of the Collingwood players. And look, it's hard for the umpires as well, but look, he'll still get the 23, 24 votes. He's had an outstanding season, but I'll be very surprised with only 1 win on the board.
Just a quarter to go for Melbourne.
Hold Nathan Jones.
Nathan Jones, free kick.
Back here, Nathan Jones holding.
So Liam Patrick into the midfield for the Suns. Just to add some run.
Here's Lyndon Dunn doing just that, running well. Rivers judged it better than Brown.
Beautiful kick, beautiful lead.
Was a good kick. Again, just too easy. The ability to take contested marks in the forward 50 has been far too easy for the Melbourne side. As you said, it's about where you weight the kick. It was long enough just to be able to edge Campbell Brown under the ball, and took a really good mark. And just again, the Suns players giving away size.
Missed a relatively easy shot already. This time he makes no mistake, and that's 4 quarters in a row where Melbourne have kicked the first goal.
I think that you can see Campbell Brown was trying to guard the dangerous space, but the ball used by Melbourne today has been outstanding. They've gone by foot 72%. You see Campbell Brown assuming that the kick was going to be wayward, but it was a really good lead from Rivers. Great finish from Dunn. As I said, 72% by foot, 6% above the league average. Gold Coast, unfortunately, only 60%. That's been the difference because their finishing skills and their want to play for each other.
First goal for Rivers. 13th for Melbourne. Marks inside 50, 13-10. As we go back in the middle, and we head to Sylvia, to Jones. Trying to bullock past 4 Suns. Make that 5.
And they certainly just haven't been able to capitalise on their clearance dominance, 31 to 15 in favour of the Gold Coast Suns, but just can't get any space.
Well, that's a huge discrepancy. They've only kicked 2 goals 5 from those clearances, and Melbourne have only had the 15 and have kicked 4 goals 3.
Yep.
So there's been no impact on the scoreboard from those clearances, but it's a good start.
No, it's a massive discrepancy and something they can be encouraged by, but the concern is, what do they do with those clearances?
Chance again, Melbourne. Bale, Harbrow, one-on-one there. Blees wants the free kick, gets it. Too far out to kick the goal. He's off now, though. Oh, he just ran himself into a bit of a hole. Put it up high, and it's all Gold Coast there.
Well, it's rare that Gold Coast were able to win or halve the contest from that position of the ground.
Weller.
But it's a win.
He wasn't going to send it back towards Russell. Got rid of Lyndon Dunn on the way. And puts it out in front of Harley Bennell, who will want to take on Jones if he can get it.
Great tackle.
Hard man to get past.
Yeah, really good tackle. Just watch the body.
And in the end, it was a pretty good handball off the ground, though, to get it to Brennan, to Russell. Brennan with the one hand, that's normal. Dixon with a little bit of magic. Russell should kick the goal now. He's got no one in front of him. Straightens up. That's a good finish. And well worked, Gold Coast. Persistence pays there.
He deserved that goal, Luke Russell. He was good intensity, kept in the game. You can see he giving the handball out there to Brennan, but he stayed in the game. He's on the ground, he gets up again. Great evasive skills from here, big Charlie Dixon. That was fantastic. And there's
Luke Russell.
There he is again, Luke Russell. Head over the ball and the finishing skills, which is, we haven't seen a lot of that today. And at least if they can really finish off this game, they need to get something out of the game. At the moment, they haven't got a lot of hope in this game of footy. Must have made the most of their opportunities on that occasion. We saw a stat there before. Melbourne have marked the ball 15 times inside their forward 50 to Gold Coast 10. Gold Coast kicked 2 goals, 6 from those marks. And when you're playing interstate, you need to make the most of your opportunities. And Melbourne have kicked 9 goals, 3 from their 15. So they have hit the scoreboard.
And just the ball gone flying into the middle of the ground. So that is another forward 50 entry for the Suns, which is certainly a positive. But it's Charlie Dixon actually going into the ruck, doing a good job here.
Yep.
And good pressure from Liam Patrick. Carmichael Hunt and Gary Ablett once again.
Keep the ball alive if they can.
And so just got to maintain possession, or at least stop the ball from bouncing out. So massive players around the ball here.
They're doing a third man up here, Alistair, the Gold Coast Suns. Do something different to clearances. As you see, they're winning the clearances. Maybe just get the ball into space a little bit more.
Caddy over the back to Swallow. And just in dispute here through the middle of the ground. Brennan's a chance. And it looks like it's going to be held up here on this occasion. Can't get it out. Done a Matera tackle, and I think the umpire's just going to call it as a bounce. And he'll toss it up. Inside 50 again for the Suns. Just the Demons under a little bit of pressure, although the lead's still well out in control. 47 points.
Good work, Lynchy. Just to change a battery for me.
No worries. Good work, Matty.
Swallow.
That's better, out to space.
Got it over to Lynch. Shouldn't let him down. Should kick the goal. And finally does.
We just talked about not having impact from the clearances, and that's their third goal. They've dominated in that area. As we talked about, 33 clearances to 20, and just got out the back. You can see the Melbourne defenders there, they'd be pretty disappointed there, so that was far too easy. Pretty sure it was his direct opponent was Joel McDonald, who was found trailing Tom Lynch on that occasion. So just need to win this quarter of football, get something out of the game if they can, Gold Coast.
He's worked hard, but he's finally got a goal.
And that's, once again, we're talking about reward for effort. You can work really hard, but if you finish the game, you haven't had the reward on the scoreboard. That is deflating. So good to see Tom Lynch get on the scoreboard.
Here go the D's again through Jones. And once again, he's had a good afternoon. Tapscott trying to get back, but he's beaten to it by Brown, who links up with Russell, but Brown was out of bounds, and Russell still gave it to him.
And on the flip side of that, Gold Coast trying to win this quarter, I'm sure Mark Neal, they'd want to win 4 quarters for the first time for the year too, Melbourne. They've been terrific in the first 3 quarters, but they've started this last quarter as if they're just going to go through the motions. So there's no doubt Mark Neeld and the Melbourne players will want to finish off well because they deserve a big four-quarter performance.
Put some pressure here. Garland and McDonald were under pressure. Hunt. Stolen by Dunn. Read it well. And he hooked it back. Now Trengover's kept that in. Very clever. And they're away here. Spencer trying to draw the man to give it to Sylvia, who can kick it a long way. And he does the unselfish thing and puts it out to Brad Green, who's going for a handful.
Yeah, and a couple of pats on the back to the big ruckman, Jake Spencer, who set up that one. Drew the Suns' opponent, dished off the handball and set up this really good quality inside 50, and Green will line up for another one.
Well, that's a craft of a forward from Green. He didn't see the preparatory work. He initially led back to the goal square to open up the space to lead into where he marked the ball. Very clever.
Coming into the game, 10 goals for the year. He doesn't miss those too often.
He doesn't. Very rare he misses those. Beautiful kick of the ball. An extremely talented young athlete. Obviously he was way up there on the radar as far as an elite soccer player is concerned, and luckily for Melbourne Footy Club he decided to go down the AFL route.
251 games later and 345 goals.
They should better work this Bennell over the top.
And Shaw's trying to draw, and that's the bounce did enough. Bennell.
That's a super bit of running there from Bennell.
And well done from Shaw as well to think his way through it. He could have just kicked straight away, but tried to draw the Melbourne defender, which was Nathan Jones, made him come to him, just allowed Bennell enough space over the top.
This is an interesting game when we look back at the Brownlow votes.
Oh, well, I think he's been the best player today.
This is 35th disposal, going for his third goal. Melbourne, Lyndon Dunn's had it the most at 21.
Yeah, I think he's been...
But they're 42 points down.
Yeah, I know that, but his impact as an individual today has been outstanding.
For number 3, he's all class, Harley Bennell.
Well, on that, I mean, if you're going to talk about the Brownlow votes, sure you couldn't go Bennell, Ablett, because if you're going to talk about impact on the game, we're talking about impact on the result as well. I mean, Bennell, this is really good work rate, and we haven't seen enough of this from the Suns players. Just the work rate to run from behind the ball carrier to find space in the forward arc. That was fantastic. I'm with you. He's one of the best players on the ground, but maybe the next one's Ablett, and I couldn't see that happening.
Seen a lot of terrific performances by this young man.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Gary Ablett sets such a high standard. Bennell's performance outweighs it because we expect that from Gary Ablett. And Colin Sylvie from Iron, I know he hasn't the stats, but he's had a terrific game. He's only at the 20, but his impact on the scoreboard's been great.
That's a good take from Lynch, who's...
Great hands. He's going to try to get 50 there.
Mark Neal and the coaching staff won't be happy with this last quarter, though, boys. They're lining up for goal number 4 already. They've only been inside the forward 50 3 times for 3 goals.
He's going to have to kick this from 55.
And he's played on. And he's going to drill it in low. And it was a low percentage kick.
Good spoil from Grimes.
Yep. Good handball out to find Sylvia. Lynch loads up again. To Gary Ablett, who doesn't miss too many, but that would have put them within 5 goals. I know it's a big ask, but at least they look better on the scoreboard, doesn't it?
Oh, it's disappointing. It's, as I said, the 4 inside 50s now, the 4 scoring shots. So they're scoring every time they go in now, Gold Coast, something they couldn't do in the first 3 quarters.
Frawley's kick out is to a contest, and Brennan knew it was coming down to the front. To Shaw, hooks it around the corner. Top of the square, Lynch again. Picked it up off the ground, didn't get boot to it. Swallow did, but it's touched.
Yeah, touched off the boot. So unfortunate, just hammering inside 50 at the moment. Just need to get another straight shot to put enormous pressure on Melbourne. And Mark Neal will be really disappointed that they've dropped off, and one of the bottom teams in the competition, the Suns, but you drop off for a few minutes, they'll score against you.
They dropped off their running, that's what they've done.
Yeah, this should be a 60-point win for Melbourne. And if it's only 30 points, it's still a win, but it just goes to show where they are, Melbourne, in the longevity and where they need to get to.
And they wouldn't
These
accept
good
it.
teams will crush an opposition when they had them down the knees like this at three-quarter time.
Post-game, I'm sure Mark Neal he'd be disappointed with this.
Still plenty of time, though, for Melbourne to kick-start it again.
No, it is.
And get a few goals.
We can see Grimes is lifting his work rate.
Blees might get it. The handball from Green just missed him. Maloney with a good fend off to Green. High ball to the top of the square. Dangerous spot for Blees. Oh, he's off. And it's smothered.
Well, that's one place.
10 metres out.
Well, I said in the third quarter not to take the game on, but not in that area of the ground. When you mark the ball 10 metres out, just go back and kick the goal.
Not a good bounce for Swallow. Grimes knew he was just going to wrap him up straight away. In comes John McDonald. And send Melbourne forward and puts it out in front of Magna.
Green wants it long. He's got young Hine. 1-on-1 in the goal square.
Hands off to Tapscott. Designated kicker from outside 50. Floats it out of bounds on the full.
It spun the wrong way.
Yep.
Didn't hit that one. Tried to really tee it up and kick the 55 metres. Mav Wellen hasn't got too many options ahead by the look of it.
That's a strong mark from Day, but all too late, Alistair.
That's a fantastic contested grab, but yeah, just didn't see enough of it early.
Russell, hard man to run away from is Frawley. Oh, he stayed on it.
Well done.
Oh, he
got the coat hanging on the way through. Advantage to Hunt, who takes his time but lays it off to Patrick, who juggles it.
Very laconic from Carmichael Hunt. I think he was considering, I'm going to take this back here. I don't want the advantage. But Liam Patrick had found plenty of space. Good work from Luke Russell. Not a lot in that high contact from Joel McDonald, but good to see him take on the tackler, have a bounce, and get the ball moving forward.
Well, accuracy hasn't been good so far for Patrick. 2 goals, 5 coming into the game, as Frawley needs a new jumper. Should get the distance, but again, they miss with a set shot.
It's 2 goals, 8 now, Matty.
Yep.
Sorry, 3 goals, 8. So that's really disappointing. You turn that into 8 goals, 3, and the game is fairly even.
Here's Grimes as we get to the halfway mark of the final quarter. Still a comfortable lead for Melbourne. The Gold Coast have dominated the play once again. Kick out wide for Green. Oh, he did that well. Back towards Jones. Ablett approaches. He's going to get it back. He looked into the corridor, saw that was closed. Went wider. Green will try to get left, and he does. Kicks it up high. In best position, McKenzie. Shaw. Rivers did enough to bring it down. Not a lot of time there, and it'll be a ball up.
And one thing we haven't seen today that we spoke about pre-game, the best contested marker for the Melbourne Footy Club. He hasn't taken a big one today, Jeremy Howe.
Just signed the 3-year deal. Himself and Nathan Jones.
So you reckon that's just keeping keeping the lid on it, keeping the feet on the ground?
Just iced up. No, well, there's a couple of real positive announcements before the game at the end of a really difficult week for the Melbourne Footy Club.
Patrick put it out in front of Matera. It's going to be tough. Punched it out wider. Here comes Harley. Oh, down.
Luke Russell's hurt his shoulder.
And they have got real problems on the bench already.
Great attack on the ball.
Yeah, it was just in front of Pickers too, who'd be all over that.
Yeah, he's in a bit of pain, Luke Russell, and he's going to come straight off the ground with his right shoulder.
They're virtually down to 0 now.
That one could be a collarbone.
Yeah, it was
Tapscott.
Real big hit.
Meanwhile, back with the action. Melbourne, poor kick coming in. Warnock, Harbrow likes to take him on. Found Shaw, who's had a reasonable afternoon. Ran a long way, had to bounce it, and got confused.
Just didn't see Lynch out to his left on a 45-degree angle.
Spencer, Maloney, Strauss, headed for Green. And he's been the key forward of the day. When we talk about votes, he's lining up for goal number 5.
He's been their main forward 50 target and certainly presented extremely well. all day, and he'll line up for another one, which is a good result. But there's a lot of sore players for both teams. To the good lead from the square, out to the side, into space.
It's a great kick. He's actually delivering to Brad Green today. He will have really appreciated it because he hasn't really had that all year.
We'll actually need this goal, Melbourne.
This will put it back to 40 points. For goal number 5 for Brad Green. He doesn't miss 2 in a row. It's a green day at the MCG.
And a good result. Good to see the former skipper, the 250-game champ, on the end of some good work. And he does this really well. But as a forward, for a lot of the time, you're relying on some good ball, and he certainly received that today. Their inside 50 entries have been of good quality. Their kicking efficiency has been at 71%, well above the Gold Coast Suns, who are trailing poorly in that facet of the game with 62.
As I mentioned, it's his best return for the year.
Well, it's been a tough year for the former skipper. Been back in the 2s, and so the inside 50s have balanced up slightly in favour of the Suns, and time in forward half as well.
It goes down to ball use. It's 71% Melbourne, 61% to Gold Coast. It's been the difference there, the quality of the ball use and the options that Melbourne give each other as well.
I mentioned Brad Green's here, and he has had to deal with it a couple of times being dropped, but to his credit, I mean, he hasn't made a peep really. He's been injured as well. I mean, his attitude's always been first class. A very popular player at the Demons.
Very popular player in the AFL, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Absolutely. And it's good to see. Good to see to get a result. And over the next month, Melbourne want to go on with this. They've got a game next week back here at the MCG against the Saints. So that'll be a big task. The Saints are playing some really good football at the moment.
It's the 5th time in his career he's kicked 5. He's never kicked 6, so he's got 7 minutes for a PB.
Well, he's going to get a chance, I'd suggest.
Yeah, there'll be another chance before we wrap up, as Matera has it on the wing. Still inside 50s favour the Gold Coast Suns, but they trail by 40 points. Ablett went early. Far too early. Garland ran into Bennell. Bennell drives on it, but John McDonald beat him to it. Handball out the back looking for Jones. And he's going to give it back to Jeremy Howe. And they keep going back, Melbourne, but they relieve some pressure. McDonald, well, put the pressure back on with a bad bounce. Now Frawley. It's not his best kick. To Bale. Grimes. Couple in the middle. Might be headed in the green direction before we know.
There he goes.
He goes short. Bale wants to go long. He wants to go on his own. And he just misses.
Just missed it. Brad Green presented for the short pass straight at the ball carrier. Good to see Rowan Bale back. He's another player that's struggled this year with the concussion. Missed a number of weeks on the sidelines until they felt the concussion test, or whatever the internal test was at the appropriate level before he played again.
Long kick down the middle, well read by Tapscott. Back to Nathan Jones. Chips it over to Blees. Big last quarter from Jones, 9 disposals. Wider to captain Grimes.
Yeah, he's been good.
And now Bale, just missed one. This wants to go around the corner with that one. He had time to kick the drop punt.
Yeah, he's starting to line up a few of the boys. Rowan Bale, a couple of attempts in the last 30 seconds. And there's Bluey McKenna. Be really disappointed. As we said earlier, we spoke to him pre-game, and he was confident they could get the job done against Melbourne here at the MCG. Great ground, big opportunity.
Howe from outside 50, unfortunately misses Trengove. Harbrow marks, plays on quickly to Ablett, and he's in a bit of space on the wing, and he just shorts it up. It's a risky kick, and Riscatelli can't run, so I think Gary might have thought better of that, but here's Seller on the way back.
It might even be to the stage where, I'll watch this play first.
Sellers ball up high. Dixon's going to come in. Where's Green? He's out the back, and we've got a ball up.
They might put Michael Riscatelli on ice at the end of this game, depending on the severity of the injury, but he has appeared over the last few months to look sore, so maybe the same injury, which is a concern. He might just need a rest, prepare for the pre-season.
Matera, tackled by Bale, but the handball's okay to Brennan. And strides away and almost shins it up to Day. Shaw, Bennell, just lost his footing, but still managed to get it back to Day. Diving smother from Rivers, short court. Melbourne still working hard. Rivers scoops it out to Trengove. This will be a wonderful team goal if it sits, but it doesn't. Frawley might have been away. And Brown's going to take on Frawley. And it was Frawley's third effort, so he didn't quite have it. Dixon, the fumble.
So we got back to Bennell and Ablett having 31 and 35 respectively, and you know, Sylvia and Jones and Dunn 22-25. There's only 4 Melbourne players with less than 10 possessions, and those guys have had 9 and 8. So it's been a real team performance from the D's, where the Gold Coast are relying on 2 or 3 players.
Well, those two there, as Brennan gets it. Again, Riscatelli probably not the right target. He has to get involved here. Lynch to Swallow in the end to Matera. Tight angle.
Dragged it back.
And it's going to be marked on the line. And Melbourne will have a bit of rebound footy coming. Strauss. Sylvia. McDonald. A bit tired. He's a bit scrappy the last couple of possessions from him. Brown assesses on the outside of the boot. He finds Lynch a long way from goal. But he looks up and he sees a man that's touched the ball more than anyone else today, standing on his own inside 50.
Yeah, and he will line up for his 4th goal, and it'd be hard to go past him for best on ground. If he kicks 4, especially with 36+ disposals, he's had a really good game. So go back and slot this one. Melbourne defenders have just dropped off and left him unattended at the top of the 50-metre arc.
For his 4th. Runs out right. Needs it to hold its line. It does. And he continues to show Australia that he's a wonderful talent.
Yeah, really impressive game. Probably his best game. I can't recall who they played against at Metricon Stadium. On one occasion, he had a fantastic high disposal
39
game.
and 4 goals as well.
Yeah, he was very good on that particular night. Played in almost every position, forward, in the defensive 50 as well, and through the midfield. But I think today it's been about work rate for him. Unfortunately for the Suns supporters, they haven't seen enough of this work rate from Harley Bennell's teammates.
There was actually 37 disposals and 3 goals against Fremantle.
Yeah, well, he's got his 37 and 4 now. And, yeah, for mine, it's the best game I've seen him play.
Brett Maloney being held by the arm. Brett Maloney.
He's just given away a free kick.
I've just loved Harley Bennell's work rate today. He's got it at both ends. Yeah, he's got on the scoreboard with 4 goals and got high possessions, but his defensive stuff's been good. He's been able to push back and help out the defence at times. It's been a real all-round performance by Harley Bennell today.
He might get involved here. Patrick swung around.
A lot of very sore players out there for both teams, especially the Suns. They've got a few players on the sidelines. There's Carmichael Hunt just carrying that right arm that we saw injured. He chased to tackle then, but the last thing he wanted to do was actually tackle because his right wing is ineffective. Very painful by the look of it.
Harbrow. Here's Bennell still running. He's going to run out of room.
That just the bounce got the better of him there. He worked really hard again to get into space.
Well, the great thing about watching him develop from up here is that he's learning that the harder he runs, the more footy he gets and the more reward he gets.
And there was a little bit of doubt how keen he was to stay or be at the Gold Coast, and I think he had a club-imposed suspension midway through last season where he didn't, I think from memory, didn't return on time back from Perth. But it's great to see. Obviously he's got the head down. I think he sees Carmichael Hunt as a real good mentor. And Carmichael, obviously, as we've heard over the last couple of years, is a very professional athlete, and I think Harley's watched exactly how that man goes about it.
Taps Scott's catch.
Good grab.
That's Jeremy Howe.
Well, that's close enough.
Yeah. He's warming up to it. He's still got a minute
40 to go. As we see, there he is.
Good grab.
The best aerialist in the AFL. Brennan back. And just a bit of share here from the Suns. Harbrow, as he so often does, goes one way then the other. McKenzie was off almost. Into the middle to Swallow. Weller. That's out in front of Bennell, but he's a hard man to beat is Jones.
Oh, well done.
And he's beaten him once, and now back pedals.
Now that's going to hurt Hunt. He was in that marking contest and stuck on the ground.
Another one down, you're right. He's still on his haunches in the background there. Now, he got that shoulder or the arm injury in about the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been actually having to hold the jumper when he runs. So he doesn't even want it dangling by his side, but he's in a really bad way. And the fact that he's out there, he's the marking contest, that's the last thing he needed.
That's always what happens, though, isn't it? If you've got an injury, the first thing that happens is it hits you in the same spot.
Yep. So Hunt, Riscatelli, Zach Smith, Prestia, all major injury concerns for the Suns moving into next week.
30 seconds remain, though, for Melbourne. Can they get one more? They lead by 36 points. Brad Green has had a big day. Hunt has had enough. Green sets it up. There it is! Jeremy Howe! Inside the last minute. Hallelujah!
Well, we've been waiting for 4 quarters for that.
He warmed up to it.
And that was fantastic. And he's just put the saddle on. Here he comes from 10 metres back. There you go, over the top of Rowan Bale. Near jump straight over the top of Jared Harbrow. And that is what we expect and love from this man when we come to watch the D's every week.
Finally takes a big hanger. Has signed a new contract for 3 years. This to finish the game in the best possible fashion for Melbourne. Yes, he does. And they are happy. Melbourne have won their 3rd game of the year. They've been too good today. And something to cheer about and wave about for their fans at last.
Yeah, great results, and they came out of the blocks and really put a good spread between the Suns and themselves, leading at quarter time by 40 points. Kept them at arm's length for most of the day. In the end, 42-point victors, but when they were challenged, they just answered the call, and it was essential they came here today and won this game against the young, developing Gold Coast Suns. From the Suns' point of view, Spud, it'll be a disappointing day because going into this game, I think they and we thought they were a realistic chance.
Yeah, they had a few injuries, Gold Coast, but that's taking nothing away from Melbourne. I thought it was a 50-50 game, but Brad Green kicking 5 goals is down there with Liam Pickering.
You must love to hear the sound of that song, Green. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, and it's been a tough year, but to the boys' credit, we keep plugging away, and it's great to be back out the MCG and get a win.
Yeah, blustery conditions, but your foot was on today, I should say. So if you're happy with 5 goals, good return.
Yeah, it's not too bad to kick a couple, mate.
Now, what about the feeling in the group at the moment? I mean, you've obviously had some tough ones, some reasonable form in the second half of the year. How's the actual group feeling at the moment?
Yeah, and as I said, to the young boys' credit, they keep plugging away, they keep turning up to the training track. The spirit's been fantastic, which is the main thing, but, you know, we just got to finish the year out, play quarter by quarter, and, you know, it'll start turning.
And your ball use today was much better. You must have appreciated a bit better ball movement coming into the forward line.
Yeah, we're looking to hit up a little bit more, and that helps forwards, so it's good to get in there.
And a 4-quarter performance and please the coach as well.
Yeah, hopefully that pleases him.
Well done, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Interesting. They led at quarter time by 40 points. The last kick of the game took them back to 42.
Yeah, that's right. They got out of the blocks well, and we spoke about it pre-game. Both teams needed a good start, and it was Melbourne that did have that very impressive start. And Brad Green was good, as we said through the call. Great to see a good guy, champion of the Melbourne Football Club, be so impressive with 5 goals.
They had a lot of good players. One of them was also Jack Grimes with Liam.
Well, Skipper, it's good to get that win, mate.
Definitely a good feeling. Definitely get used to that. But no, the boys fought it out well. Credit to Gold Coast, they sort of stuck at it, but we held our nerve and got through.
We had a lot of contributors today. I thought everyone really played a role. That was one of the focuses.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of our senior blokes stood up today. Like Greeny had a cracker. I thought Beamer and Cole Sylvia, these sorts of guys really stood up today. So they led the way for us. And, yeah, like you said, it was an even spread.
It's a tricky conditions, but I thought from the word go, you blokes were prepared to hit up that leading target.
Yeah, it is a bit swirly out here, as you know, in the G. It gets pretty swirly. But we sort of tried to use the corridor a bit more today and open up the game and seemed to work for us. So I keep doing it.
I asked Greeny about the feeling around the place. It must be good. I mean, the Melbourne supporters have had it pretty tough, mate. It's been a tough year. To have them all sticking around and singing this song is a great thing for the club.
Definitely, and we really love these days for the supporters, and it's been a really tough year for them. I know it's been a tough year for us, but we really feel for the supporters, and they turn up week in, week out, and it's credit to them because they're sticking by us. So.
Well, you'll enjoy the song tonight, mate. Well played.
Definitely, thanks a lot, Liam.
great game there from all of them. It was a great team effort you talked about. There was, you know, the Gold Coast, Bennell and Ablett. Swallow was okay. Brennan. It was left to too few. Where Melbourne was the complete team effort. Their ball use, you talked about, Brad Green talked about hitting up targets. 72% by foot. If you're going to go short, you need to use the ball well. They were able to do that. They had 107 marks and 95 of those were uncontested. So they've changed their game style a little bit, and I think that's a positive for Mark Neal and the coaching staff. So they've been able to change things up. They put pressure on Gold Coast. They turned the ball over. And yeah, there's a lot to like about the Melbourne Football Club today. You know, the signings of Nathan Jones and Jeremy Howe for 3 years.
Jones was good again, 29 disposals, continues his good form.
He was very good, and to script Jeremy Howe on the final siren, just
the right thing by
taking
us.
a big grab and kick the goal.
Yeah.
So they'll be relieved and very satisfied as well, Matty.
Well, and they've still got 4 weeks to go, so they can use this game as a springboard to finish off the season in style. Melbourne, very impressive today. Final margin, 42 points. We'll take a break from the MCG. Back with more when we return.